let's see here tonight if this is going to work for us. I think my audio is kind of turned up a little bit. Well, let's see if we can't turn it up a little bit more. Everybody always complains, "Oh, Iron, I can't hear you." Well, let's make sure that tonight you can hear us as we read through these copious amounts of patch notes. All right. So I have not read any of these patch notes thus far. So welcome if you are new. So many people, oh my gosh. Apparently the entire PoE community decided to message me that patch notes are up. I appreciate it, everybody. I just got back from my meeting, and I can see patch notes are up. I can see everyone was excited. Everybody, we are live streaming the patch notes reading. Look at me, I'm just breaking down rhymes already tonight. We are live streaming the patch notes reading. Come join for memes, live reactions, and of course, your favorite OP builds getting nerfed. Lamau, that's just summoners, probably. And maybe Cyclone. Maybe Cyclone, right? Cyclone's definitely going to get nerfed. By the way, shout out to everybody in chat. If you're in chat, I am not reading chat right now because I'm sure some of you are going to try and spoil stuff for me. And so I am not going to read chat right now at the moment unless it's... I'm going to try to limit myself to something that's like, oh, Iron, you need to fix your mic or this, that, or the other thing. Unless it's very, very pertinent. Even if you're a super chat and you drop me a tip tonight, I'm probably still not necessarily going to look at it. Or I'll look at it very skeptically. I'm going to put it that way. So I am very, very much skeptical of anybody telling me anything presently. All right, I'm going to be done looking at Discord. Whew. Okay, let's go. Volume seems much better. Oh, that's good. Sounds louder tonight. Audio is good. That's good. Okay, that's the sort of stuff that I like to hear. So this audio configuration, by the way, is what I swapped over my recording audio to. So tomorrow's video should be the exact same quality as what we've got right now. Viet Hoang says, do you stream on Twitch? No, I stream on YouTube. When I stream on YouTube. And I don't stream very often. Okay. So here is the rundown of how we're going to do things for tonight. So welcome first off to the channel. If you are here tonight for patch notes reading, that's what we're going to do for as long as my voice holds out. It has been a tough couple of days of streaming with lots of reading. The first thing that I like to do whenever I work on patch notes is I like to compare the word count. So in Metamorph, we had, 47,000 characters and 8,000 words. For Blight, we had 13,000 words and 7,600 characters. So I am going to grab the entirety of the patch notes. I'm actually not sure if it'll let me do this. Nope, it did. Control End, go all the way down to the patch notes, and scroll up a bit. Okay, where's Bex? There's Bex. All right, right there. Thank you for your support. All right, now we're going to bring this over into a new Google document, and sometimes my computer freezes when I do this, so we're going to try it. F it. We're doing it live, right? I'm going to try to paste, and we're going to see what happens. Oh, goodness. Okay, 24 pages. And my computer didn't freeze. All right, 24 pages is what that came out to. So let's go back up to the top here. 24 pages, and what's the word count on this? Let's name this Delirium 3.10 Delirium patch notes. And I'll bring this over here so that way you guys can see it. Look at that. How nice of me. We're all participating. So 3.10 patch notes. And then what else am I missing here? Oh, right, word count. My brain is not going to work. I'm coming off of 2 work meetings here at the end of the day. So for us here in the United States, it's 9:02 p.m. So this is usually about the time of day that I'm watching Star Trek with Mrs. Draconis. But tonight we are here reading patch notes. Okay, so word count is 10,711. That's our word count. And the character count is 62,000. So these patch notes are officially smaller than Blight, but I think larger than Metamorph? I think that's where that ranks. So let's see here. Whoops. And let's make this stuff smaller. I think I made these like 26. Maybe they're a little bit larger than that. Maybe 28. There we go. All right. And characters are on top of words for the purposes of this graph. And then characters come after the number. There we go. Words come after the number. 10,000 words. So this is definitely a bigger, lengthier patch note reading than Metamorph, but it will be less than Blight, which is good because I basically lost my voice for like 3 days after Blight. It was not good. All right, I'm gonna just have to drop and drag this because this is being finicky. Do you guys have that word, finicky? I don't know, because I'm not going to look at chat because you guys are all trying to spoil patch notes for me. All you guys probably just typed in like Necromancer and Zombie and Specter, Minion. You guys typed all that stuff in. We're like, oh, I know what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to ruin Iron's Night by posting spoilers in his chat. What sort of devious creatures are you, G3 community? I thought the PoE community was filled with kind people that like to help one another out. Now, we just pretend that way for 356 days a year. But in leap years, we like to ruin everyone's enjoyment of reading the patch notes. Okay, so Blight is officially like way up here. This is Blight. Just for amount of content, right? And then Metamorph was like roughly here. These are very, very accurate, by the way. Very, very accurate representations on our graph. Oh wow, look at that. I just undid everything there. That's terrible. Let's move this. There we go. And make that brown. Look at that, it's not even connected. That doesn't matter. Now we can drop and drag it. Little did you guys know you were going to be getting a sneak peek at all of my various paint illustrations that I work on. This is the thing that we've all been waiting for, right? I'm surprised you guys weren't smashing F5 to refresh for this. Should Delirium be gray or black? Let's do black. Nah, it's gray. It's a gray league. That's what it is. All right, we're going to do a gray border. Oh, why didn't I go gray? Because I made it color 2. Look at how good I am at paint. All right, so it's slightly more than Metamorph, but it's less than Blight. Look at the accuracy of this graph. There we go. Oh, look at that graph, ladies and gentlemen. If that's not top-notch content that you guys are looking for on a night when patch notes come out, I don't know what is. All right. Memes aside, let's get going. Table of contents, the Delirium Challenge League. I'm going to skip all this, just FYI. This, I'm going to skip. Yep, we all know. Delirium Challenge League, it's coming out. If you don't know that it's coming out, it's coming out. All right, major new content and features. All right, we added a new intelligence skill gem, Arcane Cloak. We've already previewed that. Added new intelligence skill gem, Stormbind. Yep, we've already covered that. New intelligence gem, Kinetic Bolt. Yep, we've seen that. Blade Blast, which is a dex gem. New int gem, Spell Slinger. Yep, we knew about that. Added a new int support gem, Archmage Support. Yep, we knew about that. I'm really excited about that one. And then Second Wind. Yep, knew about that one. That one came with our announcement about Specters. Added Cluster Jewels. Yep, we read all those yesterday. Which, by the way, in case you didn't know, dear wonderful chat, we do have a VOD up from yesterday's reading. So if you missed all of the various passives and our live reaction to that, that is available right away on YouTube. Because Twitch sucks and doesn't save your VODs. But YouTube does right away, and it uploads them basically immediately. So whoever was asking, hey, do you stream on Twitch? No, and you can guess why. Added a Simulacrum, an in-game encounter. Yep, the Simulacrum, that's like the new boss, the boss for Delirium. Added 16 new unique items, including one designed by one of our supporters. Nice. We're running out of those. I think they've only got a few of those left. Added 8 new divination cards designed by our supporters. Nice. I think I'm actually getting close to getting a div card, so at some point I'm going to have to think about that. Added a new type of currency, Delirium Orbs, which can be applied to maps. Yep. Added 2 new Rogue Exiles designed with input from our talent competition winners. Oh, that's fun. That's pretty cool. All right, minor new content and features. Made significant improvements to a number of spectered monsters. Improvements to specters? Many monsters that couldn't be spectered previously now can, and many that previously only used their melee attack in Unlife will now use whatever skills they had in life. Several specters that were dealing damage is far above others have been toned down. We're looking at you, Atlas influenced monsters. Okay, so those spitters from the Hunter influence, Alhazameen, Baron's guys. Okay. James says, your mic is great today. Oh, imagine that, James. No, I didn't go out and buy a new mic. It's almost like what we said earlier today. It's probably a software setting, and we'll look into it. We'll get it fixed. And we got it fixed, so I appreciate you guys letting me know that it's actually fixed. That's good. Because yesterday, FYI, the reason why I'm cranky about it is because yesterday I feel like I was shouting into my mic, both for recording videos as well as for streaming, and it really killed my voice, and it ended up not coming through anyway. So I'm not upset with any of you. I'm upset with my stupid software. I hate having to learn new software to do the same things that I used to do. But the software is better than what the other one that I was using, so can't complain too much. I can't be too much of a grouchy old man about my software. Back in my day, we didn't have all this new software. We had Windows 95. Improved the appearance of shocked, burning, caustic, and chilled ground. Added a stash to Einhar's Menagerie. You did it, Reddit. Added 9 new Grandmasters to the Hall of Grandmasters and replaced 7 others. Okay, so that means that farming Hall of Grandmasters and running it for completion is potentially going to change, because it could mean that the 9 new Grandmasters that got added to the Hall of Grandmasters could be specifically designed to mess with people who were running it previously successfully. So that's going to be interesting. Added 3D art for Rotting Legion, Arctic Breath, Caustic Arrow, Frostblades, Ice Nova, Molten Shell, Molten Strike, and Scorching Ray have had visual upgrades. Okay. Ray Zombie can now use animation we created for Path of Exile 2. I kind of want to Control F for Ray Zombie now. Is that the only time that it comes up? Don't tell me, chat. Don't tell me. We'll get there. We will get there. Cremation's projectile impact area of effect is now more clearly portrayed visually. You can once again sell 3 sextants of the same tier to a vendor for a sextant 1 tier higher. Yep, we knew about that, but that's great news. That's very exciting. Added an option to have your portal appearance randomly selected from all owned portal microtransactions. That's really fun. This applies not only to your own portal to town, but to your map device. Oh, in fact, you can have all 6 map device portals randomly selected, or have it randomly select 1 appearance for all 6 portals. That's pretty fun. I gotta get that. That sounds fun. Added the capacity to raise hundreds of new specters. Yep, we knew that. Added a background frame rate cap option. This will limit the frame rate of Path of Exile when it is not the current focus. That's pretty cool. The unique synthesis maps and unique watchstones now have slots in the unique stash tab. Nice. You will no longer be ambushed by betrayal interventionists or by Atlas influence monsters while looking at your betrayal board. The incursion temple pattern, the metamorph panel, the anointment panel, or talking to an NPC. So if we're talking to an NPC, we won't get randomly, we'll get attacked by regular monsters, but it's not as though, a fully souped up Haku is going to jump down on you with 3 items and all of a sudden try to assassinate you because you accidentally put him into the intervention section of betrayal and you were talking to Zana selecting which map you were going to pick. That's really nice. Changed our anti-aliasing technique from MSAA to SMAA. I have no idea what the hell that means, but I'm going to assume that's a buff. Improved engine multi-threading and added support for 16 logical cores, previously 8. I mean, more logic is better, right? Meaning Path of Exile can better utilize high-end CPUs now. As somebody who doesn't have a high-end CPU, this is a nerf. Charged, Enriched, and Pure Breachstones now each have their own unique art. Great. Do they have their own spots inside our stash tabs? No. Added new item filter drop effect color options. Added an arrow shatter effect for arrows that neither bounce off a surface nor stick. Improved the audio of all war cries. Improved the performance of all ailment effects on players and monsters. Continued to incrementally improve the sound, art, effects, and environments. Okay, Atlas changes. Here we go. Since launching the Conquerors of the Atlas, we've received a lot of great feedback about how the new Atlas of Worlds can be improved. We've made a number of improvements and will continue to do so. Okay, I just got to scream at the world. This isn't at anybody in particular. We told you guys so. Remember when 3.9 first came out and everybody was just upset because there was automatically a change, and so everybody gets upset? I'm going to quote Tarkat here. Tarkat's got this great line, "Water is wet, Reddit is angry." That's just the truth, right? The new Atlas is sublime. Many of us love it. In fact, the gameplay statistics show that more players than ever interacted more with the Atlas, with the new Atlas. That could just be curiosity, and it could just be over time Path of Exile continues to grow in its player base. But it seems like there is a genuine trend going on where more players are reaching higher and higher ends of essentially of gameplay. Right? So something good is happening there, at least from GGG's perspective and from our perspective as players, if we like stuff that retains our attention more in game. So that's good. But we also said the Atlas wasn't finished, right? And again, looking back at GGG's track record, they always improve stuff. And so whenever it comes to anything, they're looking to improve it, especially when the vast majority of players are looking for improvements in that way. And so GGG has yet once again improved the Atlas. So let's get into it. Conqueror presence and their influence mechanics are now spawned deterministically with progress between each influence map tracked on the Atlas itself. You can see this on the left-hand side of the Atlas panel connected to the Watchstone inventory. By the way, tomorrow morning, in just under 10 hours from now, we'll be having a little mini discussion about the Atlas with a couple of reminders about the Atlas, about how to perform in the Atlas. So stay tuned for that discussion in 10 hours from now. The chance for a Conqueror to occupy an Atlas region is now 50%, up from 33%, if conditions are met. Conquerors will now sometimes grant buffs to map bosses in their region. Improvements have been made to how progress through the Conquerors of the Atlas quests are tracked. It should be significantly easier to see what your next steps are. Well, that's good news, right? Isn't it? I think that's good news, but I'm not sure. All right, you can now clearly see which Watchstones have sextants applied to them when they are in their Watchstone inventory. That's nice. Added a short Watchstone tutorial, which takes you through how to use and store your Watchstones. Hey, look at that. They're actually giving us some tutorials. That's quite nice. All right, the awakening level of your Atlas is now the number of Watchstones you have socketed divided by 4 and rounded down. In other words, you will now gain awakening levels gradually rather than when you fill a Watchstone altar. If you fail to defeat a Conqueror, you will no longer get additional monster packs or influenced items from their influenced region until you do defeat them. Okay, so no perma influence anymore, at least using that method. Improve the visibility of active Conqueror citadels on your Atlas. Bonuses for completing Atlas objectives and awakening bonus objectives have changed. You will no longer gain additional chance for maps to drop 1 tier higher from awakening bonus objectives. The base chance to gain an Atlas mission upon map completion is now 35% from 40%. You will now gain 1% chance to gain an Atlas mission from upon map completion per 15 maps with the awakening bonus objective complete. Yep, a whole bunch of people are complaining about this. Whatever. You will now gain 1% increased map mod effect per 6 maps with the awakening bonus objective complete. All right. A number of changes have been made to the Sirius Awakener of Worlds fight. Okay, what did they do? What did they do to Cirrus? Cirrus's apparition is now more active during the arena phases. Okay, is he going to flicker strike around and try to kill you? Cirrus now heals to 75% of his maximum life at the start of his final phase at Awakening level 8, up from 50%. Okay, more of a DPS and HP timer. Cirrus now teleports away from the player before using his Corridor skill. He takes 80% less damage during the Corridor skill, and the projectile he fires now pierces all non-player targets. Ooh. So we can't just use zombies and go in and face tank Cirrus's projectile anymore because the zombies won't face tank it. It'll go through it. I mean, we could just go in as a 6-man group and I can use 5 of you as my zombies because it doesn't pierce players. So as long as I'm still alive, right? The rotating quad beam ability now has larger beams and applies a new debuff, which reduces your action speed and causes you to take increased damage. What? Okay. We get it. Too many people said Sirius was easy, and now he's going to be a little bit harder. All right. We've made changes to several sextant modifiers that were overly rewarding. So these are all nerfs. The unidentified map sextant modifier now grants 20, 25, or 30, down from 25, 30, 35. The sextant modifier that granted additional monster packs and increased damage, you now grant 4, 6, or 8, which is down from 6, 8, or 10. The sextant modifier that populated maps from barrels now grant 15, 25, or 30 barrels, down from 20, 30, or 40. That's interesting. Daniel gives us a super chat, and he doesn't try to spoil anything. He just says, thanks for all you do. Your Kermit makes me laugh every time. Oh, gee, great. Thanks, Daniel. That's very kind of you, Daniel. Did you know that it actually takes life force away from my soul into my throat to make the Kermit voice? So all the people out there who hate the Kermit voice are like, stop doing the Kermit voice. I hate it when you do the Kermit voice. I'm actually giving you a piece of my life soul. So it's my artistic expression. So I'm glad somebody out there appreciates it. Metamorph Mechanics added to the core game. Metamorph and Tane can now be found once you reach maps. Okay, nice. Each map has a 10% chance to be populated with monsters who can drop Metamorph parts. Tane will appear in your hideout once you have completed his Pound of Flesh quest. He will no longer appear in towns, misanthrope that he is. Okay, that makes sense. Look at this. My phone is sending me notifications that people are leaving me comments on other videos that say the sound is way down. Ugh, how is that not supposed to tilt me? I'll tell you how it doesn't tilt me, because I know the sound is fixed, because you've all said the sound is great tonight. So I won't get tilted by that. You can now find Metamorph Scarabs from various sources. Each Scarab guarantees Metamorph monsters will appear in an area, with high-tier Scarabs causing map bosses to drop additional Metamorph parts. Added a sextant modifier, which will also cause maps in the associated Atlas region to contain Metamorph monsters. Nice, so you can target farm them. That's nice. Made a number of improvements to specific Metamorph behavior situations. For example, Metamorphs with only range skills will now still attempt to move closer to the player, whereas previously they would stand in place. Aw, bummer. My zombies loved it that you were standing on the other side of the screen while they were pummeling you, and I was totally safe. The maximum power effect on the bar to the right of the Metamorph panel no longer plays if it is impossible for the fight to drop an itemized organ. Okay, wait. That feels bad. The maximum power effect on the bar to the right no longer plays. That shouldn't be a thing. It shouldn't be impossible for the fight. Am I reading this wrong, guys? The maximum power effect on the bar to the right of the Metamorph panel no longer plays if it is impossible for the fight to drop an itemized organ. No, every single fight should drop an itemized organ, right? Somebody smarter than me tell me that I'm thinking about this rightly or wrongly. It's too late in the day for me to think about this. This is a double negative. No longer plays. Impossible. It should just read, Metamorph monsters always drop itemized organs. That's what it should read, right? Added a line to the reward box when the Metamorph will drop an itemized organ. I mean, why do you need to add a line? We're going to know whether or not it can drop because the panel's going to play or not. Right? Okay. Continuing on. Endgame Vol side area improvements. Vol side areas found in maps and those created by placing individual Vol fragments in the map device now count as map areas for the purposes of map drops and other mechanics which interact with map areas. That's a big change. So that means all the stuff impacting the map is now going to impact that Vol side area. They now generate as rare areas, meaning they will always have 4 to 6 modifiers on their area. Vol side areas opened via placing an individual fragment in the map device are now 1 level higher across the board. The values on the area modifiers are now similar to those found on maps of a similar level. What is this? Added many new mods that can appear on Vol side areas, including several that can influence the items and rewards found in those areas. What kind of new mods? What kind of new mods? These are new mods. These aren't just like added specific Vol mods. These are new specific Vol mods. That's interesting. Are we going to see a meta where people just like want to farm Vol side areas? Is that possible? Maybe. Elemental and physical damage reflection modifiers can no longer appear for these areas. Nice. Increase the number of monsters found in all map level side areas. Yeah, so you roll a double beyond map and then you go into a Vol area. Interesting. I wonder if the influence is going to impact one another. It probably won't, right? Because this line, they now generate as rare areas. Yeah. Monsters normally found in incursion encounters will now also be found in Vol side areas. That's fun. Side area bosses have life pools similar to other unique monsters found in maps. Okay, cool. Character balance. Let's see how far we are on this thing. Character balance. We're what? How many pages in? Let's insert page notes. Page numbers. Top right. So we're on page 5. 5 out of 24. Not bad. We're making good progress here. I might actually make a summary video and release it tomorrow about patch notes. You guys wanted both a stream and a video. I don't know though. We'll see. We'll see if my voice actually holds up or not. And we haven't actually got to any of the nerfs or the buffs yet. So I haven't started ranting about anything. Now I'm just ranting about whether or not I'm ranting. So let's stop ranting and keep going. Modifiers to melee weapon and unarmed attack range are now described as +X to melee strike range. The functionality hasn't changed. Weapons that describe their range skill still refer to weapon range. Why do we need to make things more obtuse? Like, the word strike in Path of Exile is attached to strike skills. I don't like that change. Like, Vex, anybody that actually has any kind of clout on Reddit, I don't have any clout on Reddit. When I go and post on Reddit, Reddit hates me. Oh, get off my lawn. And I'm like, no, wait, I'm the old guy. I'm telling you to get off my lawn. And they're like, no, go away. So somebody with any kind of clout on Reddit, go and complain about that. That makes no sense to me. Take the word strike. Strike the word strike from melee strike range. Like, if weapons that describe their range still refer to weapon range, then use that. I don't know. As though we don't have enough wording in Path of Exile that's confusing for new players, right? Because, like, we're going to tell new players, hey, you need to pay attention to this melee strike range on this particular build. And what you're looking for in your weapons is a stat that's called weapon range. And that's the thing that actually is the thing that correlates to the modifier on your skill tree that says +X to melee strike range. Oh, I thought that correlated to strike skills. Yeah, I know that's the same word, but it doesn't mean anything in that regard. And it actually means weapon range. Why doesn't it say weapon range? I don't know. That's confusing. All right, wand attack projectiles are now considered larger for the purposes of collision detection against monsters. Elusive now grants 30% increased movement speed from 40%. 15% chance to dodge attacks from 20%, and 15% chance to dodge spells from 20%. So Elusive just got hit across the board. Just straight up across the board hit. So that's a note. There is now a hard upper limit of 75% for chance to avoid damage from hits. Okay. Everything's going with the hard cap nowadays. Scorch and Brittle, alternate ailments for fire and cold damage respectively, have both had their maximum effects raised. Interesting, so maybe we'll actually do a Scorch or a Brittle build. Scorch reduces elemental resistances by a maximum of 30%, up from 20%. Brittle now increases the chance to critically strike an afflicted enemy up by up to 15%, up from 10%. Scorch, Brittle, and Sap now all have a base duration of 4, up from 2. That seems like a significant buff. I'm not going to league start something with Brittle, Scorch, or Sap. but actually that might make me want to build something that can do it. And actually, maybe as a league starter, it's actually more viable than getting Elemental Pen on some other builds. Because it's attached to the skill, it's not attached to the Ascendancy, so you can have it throughout your leveling process. You don't even have to ascend. That's interesting, actually. Okay, that's making me think. Skill reworks. Animate weapon. Now has the physical tag. Now animates a weapon in an area around where you are targeting. You don't have to target a specific item. Animate weapon has been reworked and undergone some cosmetic upgrades as well. Nice. The damage multiplier on animate weapon was not applying to the minion's damage at all. Whoops. Because of this, the skill has been rebalanced. Hey guys, maybe that's why animate weapon felt like it sucked. Because the inherent multiplier on the skill gem was doing nothing. I feel so bad for anybody that tried to make animate weapon work hard before now. Because no wonder why it wasn't doing anything. Oh my goodness. Imagine just for a second if you're a new player to this game. You come in and you see animate weapon and you have no friends in the game. You have no friends. You have no community. You have no idea how to play this game. You have no idea that there's this vibrant community of players who all interact and talk to each other and feed off of one another's ideas, right? You have no idea about the incredible collaborative community that is the Path of Exile community. And you go in and you look at animate weapon and you read it and you're like, this sounds really cool. I can be like a necromancer, but instead of commanding the undead, I can command weapons. I can be like Mickey Mouse in Fantasia or whatever. That sounds really cool. I can be like Merlin in Sword in the Stone. That sounds really, really cool. And then you actually start casting your skill and you're like, why is it that I don't do any damage? And years go by, right? You hear more things about Path of Exile. You read more things about the action RPG community. You hear that Diablo's coming out with Diablo Immortal and you're laughing because, do you guys have phones? And you hear that, Grinding Gear Games is coming out with Path of Exile 2 and they're coming out with a mobile game to make fun of that other game that's on mobile. And you're like, okay, I think I'll give PoE a shot. And so you start researching and you start looking up different builds. And you start looking things up. You smash some things on your keyboard. You type in like PoE, league starter builds and updates in PoE and patch notes. And all of a sudden you find this crazy bald guy with a homeless beard and absolutely ridiculous, stupid ideas. And you come into his chat and you see him read patch notes that say, the damage multiplier on animate weapon, the skill that you used years ago, was not applying to the minion's damage at all. Whoops! Because of this, the skill has been rebalanced. And you realize that for the last 5 years of your life, a game that you thought was absolutely garbage wasn't garbage, but actually was a really great game, but there was one skill that had a fundamental flaw in it. It didn't have any damage multipliers on it. Out of the hundreds of people in our chat, one of you is probably that guy, and you're pulling out whatever hair you've got left in your head out right now, because you're going, what? That's why that didn't work? Yeah, that's why that didn't work. PoE is a great game, by the way, but sometimes there's some mistakes that can be made. Oops! Can now be supported by Unleash and Spell Echo. Now has a base duration of 40 seconds at all gem levels. Now allows a maximum of 5 animated weapons at gem level 1, up to 14 at gem level 20, from 50 at all gem levels. So it's come down considerably, but that's because it now actually has damage in the skill. Okay, that makes sense. Now has a base cast cost of cast speed of 0.6. Okay, that's fine. Now costs 4 mana at gem level 1. That's fine. Now grants your minions attacks 5 to 8 additional physical damage at gem level 1, up from 4 to 6. Don't you mean up from 0? No, that's just the multiplier. Now I'm just teasing you guys. Up to 126 to 184 at gem level 20. From 38 to 56? What? That's more than like quadruple the damage almost. At least on the low end, right? It's almost. Methinks there is a build here. Methinks there is some build guide creators out there who have made some animated weapon builds that could actually work when the gem did no damage at all. And now they're reading this right now going, excellent. Yes. Minions now deal 10% more damage at gem level 1, up to 48% more at gem level 20. Note that there was previously similar but numerically higher bonuses listed on the skill that, as it turns out, did absolutely nothing. No wonder why animate weapons sucked. Jeez. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. I'm glad that GGG is transparent about it, right? They say, hey, look, we screwed up, and we're telling you that we screwed up. They could come out like other companies do, and they're just like, hey, it wasn't working, and it was probably your fault. At least they're willing to come out and say, oops. Or, I'm sorry, quote, whoops. Hey, what's up, the punk? Welcome to chat. Don't spoil anything. I'm not reading chat tonight for spoilers. I'm just reading patch notes. That's what we're reading tonight. Now grant your minions 10% more attack speed at gem level 1. So basically the same thing as the increased damage. Now gains 2% increased movement speed per 1% gem quality. Down from 4% increased movement speed. Okay, so your minion movement speed got gimped a little bit. But I think the damage on that thing is going to be insane. Yeah. Now animates a weapon in an area around where you're targeting. You don't have to target a specific item. That's so good. I might League start animate weapon. I don't know. Might be incredibly stupid. Of all the stupid builds I've ever been stupid enough to play, that might be stupid, but I might. Skill balance. All totems and ballistas now have approximately 50% more base life than previously because they were terrible, with the exception of ancestral totems, decoy totems, and holy flame totems because those were actually used, which had higher base life already. These totems have received a smaller increase to their base life. Base mine throwing time has been raised to 0.3 seconds, up from 0.25. Okay. Interesting. So mines come out a little bit slower. Specific skills. All right. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is the section of the night where we will find out exactly what is getting buffed and exactly what is getting nerfed. And there was much suspense. All right. Ancestral Protector. Now rises out of the ground, leaving a hole in its wake like a devourer. Oh, that kind of looks cool. Arctic Breath. Base projectile speed has been greatly increased. Now has a base cast time. Now deals 11 to 16 cold damage at gem level 1, which is down. Up to 301 to 405, which is also down. So Arctic Breath got a hit. Now costs 7 mana, down from 8, up to 20, down from 23. So mana is better, but damage just went down. Cast speed went up a little bit. And the projectile speed has gone up. Hey, Sam just dropped us a super chat. He said, go back and read the part about Minion Reflect. I haven't seen anything about Minion Reflect yet, Sam. I haven't seen anything. Let's look and see if it's before or after page 6 to see if Sam is trolling me. Minion. I'm not saying that's on page 6. No, here's Reflect. Where else? Oh, character balance. I must have missed this. Increases and reductions to reflected damage taken now also affect your minions. Oh. Oh. That's interesting. Thank you for pointing that out, Sam, and thank you for not trolling me. Thank you for not sending me money on the internet to get me to read your comment to troll my patch notes. Thank you for that, Sam. I appreciate it. Okay, that is an interesting change. I'm probably going to skip a whole lot of stuff by accident tonight because I'm already a terrible reader, believe it or not. No, you guys believe me. You guys know how terrible of a reader I am. And I'm already getting tired. I'm already fading fast. Man, those work meetings really took it out of me. Artillery Ballista now deals base damage and has an added damage effectiveness of 40% at gem level 1 from 33% up to 51% at gem level 20 from 42%. So that's a buff. That's a big buff. Blade Vortex. Blade Vortex created by this skill can now be destroyed with Blade Blast. Nice. I know a lot of people want to figure out like, hey, cast all of the blade skills and then Blade Blast them and explode. I think that's definitely going to be a build that people are going to try. I personally, without looking at any of the numbers, my hot take opinion on all of that stuff, unfortunately, and I'm happy to be proved wrong if I'm wrong, I think all of that stuff is going to suck on release. Stone me if you must. Stop throwing stones at me, all of you assassin players. Okay? I'm sorry. I just think that the Blade Blast stuff is going to be less than spectacular on release. I think it's going to take a league for them to actually figure out the numbers and the animations and the way how those interactions work before it's really good. Watch now as that becomes like the most meta build of the league. It's possible. But I just... That stuff and those interactions, PoE oftentimes doesn't allow for multiple skills to play on top of each other and do terribly well. There are certain environments in which they do very, very well, right? As soon as I make a general statement like that, somebody's like, yeah, but what about lab farming? Which, like, you're using a skill like Cloud Mine, and then you use, like, Leap Slam and Running and Phase Acro and Phasing and Phase Run and all these other skills. Like, okay, there are environments in which those certain combinations work, but the vast majority of builds are you find one skill to make your main damage source and then other skills that are supported by fewer gems as your augmenting damage sources or utility setups or defensive layers. So we'll see. We'll see if somebody can come up with something where there's like multiple different blades all exploding at the same time. It'll be interesting. Bladefall can now create lingering blades. These can be animated with Animate Weapon or destroyed with Blade Blast. These blades have a base duration of 6 seconds at all gem levels, so maybe that's what we'll do. Maybe we'll use Bladefall to create lingering blades and then Animate Weapon them up, rather than destroy them with Blade Blast. Why break your swords when you can have them serve you in an undead army? Eh! Alright, Dash now gains 3% increased travel distance per gem level. Nice. Ethereal Knives can now create lingering blades. These can be animated with Animate Weapon or destroyed with Blade Blast. These blades now have a base duration of 6 seconds at all gem levels. Explosive Arrow now gains +2 to explosion radius per explosive arrow on the target, up to +12 at all gem levels. It seems like 12 is the range. I feel like 12 being the area range of effect of stuff seems to be kind of the go-to point for a lot of stuff right now. 12 is the range that stuff is getting buffed to or nerfed to. Previously scaled as the gem leveled up from 10 at gem level 1 to 19 at gem level 20. You can now stick a maximum of 20 explosive arrows to an enemy. Previously no limit. Okay. Explosions now deal 3% more damage with hits and ailments per explosive arrow on the target. Previously, this only applied to ignites. Okay, that's a lot. So that's why they said you only can do 20. So 20 times 3 is a 60% more damage increase that you can get up to. That's a pretty significant buff to explosive arrow. Because it's not just the ignites, it's also the hits. So if you tried out explosive arrow in 3.9, the good news is, or the bad news was, I'm sorry, it probably sucked. The good news is 3.10, it's going to be better. So that's interesting. Flame Dash. The increased cooldown recovery speed of this skill gains as it levels up has been lowered. It now gains up to 47% increased cooldown recovery speed, down from 76. Whoa, that's a considerable nerf. Now gains 1% increased cooldown recovery speed per 2% gem quality from 1% increased cooldown recovery per 1% gem quality. Okay, that's fine. Flame Blast now has a base radius of 2, which is down from 5. Whoa! Now gains +3 radius per stage, up from +2. Okay, so you can get the same on Flame Blast? What the hell did Flame Blast do to deserve a nerf? Like, you get better stages, right? You get better radius per stage, but if you just were, like, barely clicking Flame Blast in order to activate it and then ignite Prolif, Oh, okay. I guess the new passive nodes from yesterday, they were just like, nope, it's too much. It's too much. Okay, Frostblink now deals damage and leaves chilled ground at both its start and end locations. That's very good. A lot of players are going to use that in order to activate chill effects. Now receives a reduced cooldown based on the number of nearby enemies at both its start and end locations. Now has a base maximum travel distance of 42, up from 32. Nice. Now gains 2% increased travel distance per gem level. Now gains additional radius as it levels up to +3 at gem level 20. Nice. Oh no, here comes one of my minions! Herald of Agony. The Agony Crawler now deals 5% increased physical damage per virulence you have at gem level 1, down from 6%, up to 9% at gem level 20, down from 12%. That's the only nerf to the Agony? Okay. Chris, you don't need to nerf it anymore. You've nerfed it. Chris, you have made your point. Herald of Agony is a bad, bad boy. Nobody should play him anymore. Nobody go play Herald of Agony. Nobody should do it. Just let me do it on all of the various builds that I'm now going to go and build for Herald of Agony. You've nerfed it. It's been nerfed to oblivion. Nobody go play it. Just leave it for me to go play. Oh, man. Herald of Agony. It's surviving these patch notes rather well. I'm quite happy with this. By the way, if you are new to the channel, welcome. If you're new over the last couple of days, or if you're coming back after a few leagues, welcome, welcome. You can go to make sure and like the particular stream that you are watching right now. That tells me that you enjoy streams and tells me, hey, I should stream more. So if you're enjoying our streaming of the patch notes, make sure that you ding the like button, give us a little thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, you can, of course, subscribe and ding the bell to be notified about more video discussions just like this one. All right, Lightning Warp. So there's got some changes onto Lightning Warp that's got everybody hyped about it. Now has a base cast time of 0.6 seconds, down from 0.8, so it casts faster. And now has 30% reduced duration at gem level 1, up from 30%, up to 49% at gem level 20, which is up from 39%. So Lightning Warp is going to be better. Flame Dash got nerfed. There's a whole bunch of lightning nodes. I think Lightning Warp is where we're headed. I think. We're going to a Lightning Warp movement meta. I think that's what's going on. Especially with Spell Slingers and Poet's Pens. All right, Precision now grants 20% increased critical strike chance to you and nearby allies at gem level 1 from 40%, up to 58% at gem level 20 from 59%. So a massive, massive nerf early on. Because people were using Precision because of its flat mana reservation. People were using it and not leveling it. So now they want people to level it. That's what that says. It's still ridiculously good. For a smidgen of mana reservation. They didn't touch the mana reservation on Precision. I don't know. I think that's still pretty dang good. I think a lot of players are still going to be using Precision. All right. Pyroclast Mine now fires an additional projectile for every 4 prior mines in detonation sequence. Previously fired an additional projectile per 2 mine detonations. Now has a base cast time of 0.18 seconds, down from 0.25. That's a lot faster. So you get less projectiles, or you have to have more mines out in order to get the same projectiles. No, it's just less projectiles. It's got a better cast time, but just way less projectiles. Which makes sense, by the way, for those of you wondering why this was nerfed. Path of Exile has got a long history, a long and complicated history. Not always a friendly one with projectile-based builds. So if you build a build that uses too many projectiles in PoE, oftentimes you can actually cause the server problems, like on the server side of things. So the fact that Pyroclast Mine was where it was at was kind of scary, that more players weren't playing it and trying to break servers with it. There used to be an entire build archetype called Crash on Crit. We're not going to go into all the history of that tonight, but that's just something to be aware of. Raise Specter. Okay, what do they do? What do they do to Raise Specter? Raise Specters are now level 31 at gem level 1. Up to level 76 at gem level 20. Previously level 20 at gem level 20. Or level 80 at gem level 20. Okay, so on the top end, we lost 4 levels to the Specter, which means we're going to have to dedicate, if we're running Specters, okay, I think we're still going to have to get them up to like level 30, right? The gem level itself, I think. That's actually not a bad nerf. And considering we just got 350 new monsters to play with, don't worry, Chris Wilson. I will not be starting a Raise Specter Witch. I won't be. Don't pay attention to my head motion right now. Pay attention to something else. Definitely not going to be playing a whole bunch of Specter builds, testing all these Specters out. This is going to be a fun league. I feel like we could do an entire series here on the channel. Okay, quick poll. Time out for just a second. Would you enjoy, yes or no, just type Y or N in chat, if you would enjoy an entire series of videos where we just looked at, and we could call it like the Necronomicon or the Necromancer's Handbook, if you would enjoy a series where we just went through and talked about different Specters. It wouldn't necessarily be every single Specter in the game, but if we just gave you some updates, if we did like 5 videos and featured 5 different Specters in each video, that's what, 25 different Specters that we could feature? I don't know. That sounds fun to me. It sounds like a fun project. Doesn't mean it's fun for you guys. And it doesn't mean I'll do it if it is fun for you guys, because it still has to be fun for me. So, we'll see. Feel free to drop a Y or an N in chat about what you guys think about that. And if you're watching on the VOD, make sure that you drop a comment down below, because I always do see those comments. So leave a comment with your own opinion on that. All right, what did they do to my zombies? These are my zombies. If I'm making a prediction here before I read this, if they do nerf zombies, they still might nerf all of the uniques attached with zombies, right, for strength stacking. If they don't nerf zombies very hard, then all of the uniques that are attached to strength stacking are definitely getting smacked, and potentially ascendancies that benefited off of it getting smacked. So Guardian as well as Necromancer. That's my blind hot take opinion. All right, Raise Zombie. Here we go. The number of maximum zombies raised you can have at gem level 20 is now 6. You reduced one of my zombies. Zombie behavior while idle and near the player is now less chaotic. Oh, we got, wait, where is it? Where is it? Where did my paint go? Paint's got to come out for this celebration. Oh man. Where is it? Here we go. Looks like no, that's a terrible image. Look how small that is. There we go. Is this one better? There we go. Looks like skellies and zombies. Oh, we haven't gotten to skellies actually. So maybe they wrecked skellies? Maybe they left zombies alone? Is that what this is? There we go. Ah! That should be the thumbnail of patch notes. Oh, man. Looks like zombies are back on the menu, boys. That's so exciting to me. That's very exciting. All right. Let's see. Shield charge. The radius of the damaging circle at the end of the charge has been doubled. The effects have been updated to match. Okay. So shield charge got better for Herald Autobomber builds. Shrapnel Ballista now deals base damage and has an added damage effectiveness of 38% at gem level 1 from 33%, up to 44% at gem level 20 from 38%. Well, if nobody plays Ballistas, they'll just keep buffing them, right? Spirit Offering. Oh! This is what's going to get smacked. Too bad my build didn't depend on it, right? Which it didn't. I actually was playing a minion build that, yeah, I used Spirit Offering when I needed to, but for the vast majority of the time I wasn't. Repeated rapid casting of Spirit Offering was far too efficient as a means of protecting and recovering minion life and player life through Mistress of Sacrifice. This still provides valuable protection from minions without it being significantly better than almost every other tool available, which it was. No longer grants a portion of minions' maximum life as energy shield, now grants 20% to chaos resistance at gem level 1 up to 30%. Okay. Okay. We'll see if that does anything. We'll see. We'll see if the Cyclone proccing combo still works or not. Whether that's for Spirit Offering or Flesh Offering. It's just a massive upgrade for keeping up whatever offering skill it is that you're going to use. Summon Carrion Golem. Now causes your Carrion Golems to deal 5% more damage per non-golem minion near them. Down from 8% up to a maximum of 50%. Okay, they nerfed Carrion Golem's damage. I wasn't even using Carrion Golem for the damage. I was using it for the buff. That's what I was using it for. Like, you can nerf the damage on it. Like, Chris, do I want to dare say this to Chris? You could take away the damage from Carrion Golem. No, actually, scratch that. We need some damage on it so that way it still can apply Maim. I still need a little bit of a smidgen of damage on Carrion Golem so that way it can still apply Maim. I feel like so many players, like, I feel like half of the players, I don't think I'm being hyperbolic there. You could go back and watch the video live streams that we did, the videos on demand, of Metamorph helping players out with their POBs, which we did roughly halfway through Metamorph. We helped out a whole bunch of players. And a lot of Summoner players were coming to us, and they didn't realize that setting your Carrion Golem up with Maim support was a great way to proc Maim, and that increases the damage that somebody who's maimed is taking, PoE Maim. And like a lot of players didn't understand that. So where is it? List of Maim related skills, Maim support. Here we go. Okay, so the way how it works, supported attacks have 30% chance to maim on hit. Enemies maimed by supported skills take increased damage. Mind you, that take increased damage, whenever it says enemies take increased damage, that acts as a more multiplier. So it's like a damage amplifying effect for your zombies, for your skeletons, for your Herald of Agony, for your Herald of Purity guys, for anything, for your teammates, like for your party members. It doesn't matter what it is. But if you maim something, and so you could run maim support with your Carrion Golem at level 1, and his AoE, like he can maim stuff, and it was quite helpful actually. Summon Holy Relic. Now displays the minion's life in the tooltip. Now has a cooldown of 0.3 seconds on its Nova skill, down from 0.5. So they watched Mussolini's build, which was a great build, by the way, and they were like, you know what? The way how we nerf this is we slightly nerf its cooldown. Okay, so that means Summon Holy Relic is still a totally viable minion option. You know, as long as there's any minion ascendancies left. Maybe they just murdered all the minion ascendancies. This, by the way, Mussolini's Summon Holy Relic, an exceptional build as a league starter. Like, you can run that thing as a league starter all the way up through the end game and take down Awakener level 8 with it as you just continue to dump currency into it. Great build. Summon Skeletons. Damage dealt by minions at all gem levels has been lowered by approximately 40%. Okay. This change isn't visible on the gem as it is a property of the minion itself and does not affect skeleton mages or any other non-basic skeleton minions summoned by Vol summoned skeletons. The number of maximum summoned skeletons you can have at gem level 20 is now 7, down from 8. I don't think that's... Okay. Again, I was running mostly zombies. I was pretty much popping Vol summon skeletons when I needed it. I know a lot of players were using skeletons in order to rush in race scenarios to take down Cirrus. I don't think that's that big of a deal. It does not affect skeleton mages or any other non-basic skeleton minions. Okay, I don't want to be hyperbolic. They must have really done something else to items because they didn't hit the gems. Temporal Chains. Now has 50% less effect against players. Previously, it had 40% reduced effect against players. Note that this change means it is multiplicative with sources of increased effect. So you just go get a bunch of those key nodes, then increase your curse effect if you really need your temp chains to last really long on you. Using shackles, right, to self-temp chains. You just grab a couple of those passive nodes. It's like, hey, my curse effect is back up to where it used to be, and temp chains headhunter effect is still fine. Volatile Dead now displays that you are limited to a maximum of 60 orbs at a time. Yeah, we've heard that before. It's been broken before, but that's fine. Vol Skill Balance. Vol Flame Blast now triggers every 3 stages. From 5 stages. Okay, so Vol Flame Blast got a lot better. Now has a base radius of 35. So that's why regular Flame Blast got a lot worse. Because I want you to use Vol Flame Blast. Okay, that's interesting. My wife is telling me that she's going to bed and is asking if I need clothes for tomorrow. No. No, I'll just spend tomorrow naked. We'll see how that goes. Ballista Totem Support. Now causes supported skills to deal 42% less damage at gem level 1, from 50% up to 33% less at gem level 20, down from 41%. Okay, that's fine. Feeding Frenzy Support now gives minions from supported skills 25% chance to grant Feeding Frenzy to you on hit at gem level 1, up to 44% at gem level 20. Previously, 25% at all gem levels. That's really good. What is this? No longer causes minions from supported skills to deal more damage while you have Feeding Frenzy. Okay. All right. All right. Listen to this for just a moment. By the way, if you're new to the stream, if you're new to the channel, make sure you go ahead and smash that like, subscribe, and ding the bell button. And if you don't, I'll pull out even more of my hair. I don't know. I'll make some kind of random awkward YouTuber threat. Like pulling out even more of my hair. So I'm going to explain this. I'm going to grab a donut here really quick. I have them like right over here. So here's the thing about Feeding Frenzy Support. You don't need to use Feeding Frenzy Support as a damaging skill. Right? You really don't. A lot of the time, the reason why you use Feeding Frenzy Support is actually to help you. It's a buff that helps you. Yes, it's nice to proc it because it used to give minions who were supported the aggressive AI. That's nice, but you didn't necessarily need it. I'm going to show you guys what this looks like. Where is it? Feeding Frenzy? Okay, here's Feeding Frenzy. So, Feeding Frenzy reads like this. Minions from supported skills have 25% chance to grant Feeding Frenzy to you on hit. That's going to go up. That percentage just got better, right? It used to just be 25%. Now at least it's going to go up to 44%. Minions from supported skills deal more damage while you have Feeding Frenzy. So that sounds really, really good, right? Sounds like a really, really good thing. However, the line here is what you want. While you have the Feeding Frenzy buff, all of your minions have 10% more minion damage, 15% increased movement speed, and 15% increased attack and cast speed. So what I was doing, now again, not everybody does this. Not everybody does this. Not everybody has to do this. You don't have to play PoE the way how I play PoE. And that's a good thing. PoE is one of the best games out there. It's my favorite game on the planet presently. Because we don't have to follow each other and play the exact same build. We don't have to do that. We can tweak it. Everybody's got their own approach and their own tweaks on these things. That is a good thing, in my humble opinion. Feeding Frenzy turns your minions into aggressive minions when you support with it. I, however, don't use it as a support gem on any of my main links. I will oftentimes put Feeding Frenzy and Maim onto my Carrion Golem, because the only thing that I care about from Feeding Frenzy is this. All of your minions get 10% more damage, increased move speed, increased cast speed, and increased attack speed and cast speed. That's all that I care about. To me, as somebody that has played Summoners for, not decades, but for many leagues, dating back to when I first started playing Path of Exile, and it's like, man, that was a slog to play Summoners back in the day. There's so much quality of life packed into just this one line while you have the Feeding Frenzy buff. And now what they're doing is they're making it easier for us to get the Feeding Frenzy buff. That's great. So, to me, this part no longer causes minions from supported skills to deal more damage while you have Feeding Frenzy. If you were using Feeding Frenzy the same way I was using Feeding Frenzy, which is just to get the Feeding Frenzy buff, which affects your entire army, not just the one supported 5-link, 4-link, or 6-link, this is a buff! This is a massive buff to players who are using Feeding Frenzy in order to proc the buff of Feeding Frenzy and not all of the supported damage. Like, what GGG I feel like just did was they just encouraged a whole bunch of players to go, hey, think about some creative ways that you can use Feeding Frenzy support, because you don't have to use it in conjunction with your main damage link setup. Now, some of you are going to counter with, and I'm not going to use the Kermit voice here because this is a completely valid argument, in my opinion, and I don't want to make fun of it. Completely valid argument is, Iron, the reason why I use Feeding Frenzy support is because I want the aggressive minions. That's what I want. I want aggressive minions who are going to go out of their way to go seek out and destroy. And that's a perfectly valid argument. Samuel Taylor drops us a $5 tip and says, thanks, G3. Is that a spoiler? Is that a spoiler in the patch notes? Is G3 mentioned in the patch notes? Nope, G3 is not mentioned in the patch notes. All right. Samuel, thank you so much for the tip. And thanks for not spoiling anything in the patch notes. Yeah, Feeding Frenzy is great. I like it. That's the way how I use it. It doesn't mean everybody has to use it that way. Unleash support now causes spells to deal 20% less damage when reoccurring at gem level 1 from 35%, up to 11% at level 20 from 26%. So that's just better. Like, that's just better. That's all there is to it. Unleash support just got better. Awaken Unleash support now causes spells to deal 10% less damage when reoccurring at gem level 1, up to 8% at gem level 5. All right, here comes the passive tree rebalance. Oh boy, we need a donut for this one. Let's eat a donut to get us through the passive tree. By the way, do you guys need a donut? I've got one extra donut here if anybody wants it. About to rename the stream. Come watch Balding Boomer eat donuts. Get a little ASMR action. I can be chewing really loudly into the microphone. I'm sure you guys will really enjoy that. All right. The second passive on the energy shield path from the Witch's starting location now gives plus 15 to maximum energy shield, up from plus 10. And the first and last passives of the energy shield path immediately following that passive Now each grant 3% increased energy shield in addition to the 10% they had previously granted. Okay, that's interesting. Is there an update yet for POB? There's no way he could have it out by now, right? Like, what? The patch notes have been out for like an hour and a half, 2 hours? There is literally 0 ways that he could have an update out by now. Yeah, it automatically checks for an update. He doesn't have one out. Okay, I don't feel too bad. So they're talking about this node, right? Yeah, so this will go up to 15. Is that what they're talking about? The second passive on the energy shield path. Yeah, the second passive. So 1, 2. No, but that gives minions have 10% increased life. I think it's this one. I think they're not counting this as being on the path. They're saying, hey, this is 1 and this is 2. I think that's what that is. The Wandslinger cluster north of the Witch has been reworked. That seems good. That seems like a lot of attack speed. And then causes increases and reductions to spell damage to apply to attacks while wielding a wand. Like that's... I thought that was a gem. Let me select this. Increases and reductions to spell damage. How many times does this show up? This shows up twice. Okay, 1 on page 10. And 1 on page, what? 14? Okay, we're not there yet, right? Yeah, that's under items. That just seems good. Enigmatic Reach. Now grants 10% increased attack speed with staves, up from 8%. Oh, guys! Guys, now that's the best change in the entire tree. I'm going to go out and play a staff build now. Said absolutely no one ever. 10% increased cast speed while wielding a staff, up from 8%. Small passive immediately preceding it now grants 8% increased area of effect while wielding a staff, up from 6. Guys, you could literally double those numbers. That wouldn't make anybody play a staff build. That's not the problem with staves. The problem with staves is the opportunity cost. If you're going to use a two-handed weapon... Oh, wait, are we talking about two-handers for a second? Because I didn't see anything about two-handers in the patch notes. Now you got me ranting. The opportunity cost of a staff is that you can't use a shield, you can't use a second weapon, you can't use a quiver. Staves are, as we went over yesterday, two-handed wands, right? It's two wands and you're stuck going like this, and you get the stats of it because it's a two-hander, but you don't get the stat value of having two one-handers, which, by the way, having two one-handers dual-wielding gives you bonuses to attack speed, to cast speed, and to block chance. Wielding a staff, well, a staff has an implicit block chance built into it. Isn't that great? No, because the wands and dual-wielding don't waste an implicit on that stuff. They just get it for being who they are. A staff gets an implicit slot wasted on that sort of thing. And then it still has the opportunity cost of no shield, no quiver, or no second weapon. Like if you're going to use a two-handed weapon, use a bow. By the way, small moment, little, teensy, tiny bit of trivia. Did you guys know that bows count as two-handed weapons? So if you get a two-handed weapon passive, it'll actually apply to a bow. Now, it won't apply if it's necessarily melee, unless you're using a melee skill with a bow. But that's just something that I would like to point out. Like, bows are literally the best two-handed weapon in the game because you get to do something else in that other item slot. It's just a bummer. Explosive Impact, north of the Templar, now grants 30% increased fire damage, up from 25, and 12% increased area of effect, up from 8, as well as plus 10 to strength and intelligence. The small passive south of the Notable now grants 8% increased fire damage, up from 6, and grants 8% increased area of effect, increased of 4, increased cast speed with fire skills. The first small passive of the cluster now grants 12% increased fire damage from 10%. Okay, so more of the same of what we read yesterday. Elemental damage is definitely getting a whole bunch of stuff. The Searing Heat cluster has moved slightly south, but it's still connected to the same passive. The Arcane Expanse cluster has moved south and is now just north of Arcane Vision. All right, Ascendency Balance. Here we go. Let's see what we're at. What page are we on? Oh, wow, I cannot spell. Ascendency. Ascendency. Here we go. Page 10. We're on page 10. Okay. 10 out of 24. Necromancer. Starting off strong, I see. I see we're going with the alphabetical reading here, with the Necromancer coming first in the alphabet, because Necromancer is the best. Bone Barrier no longer grants elemental resistance per minion. Dang it. I'm going to have to actually put elemental stuff on my gear now. But actually, I can actually do that, because now I'm not going to be stacking uniques left and right? Increased life and energy shield recovery per minion is now 2%, down from 3, capping out at 20%, down from 30. Commander of Darkness now grants you and nearby allies 30% to all elemental resistances, up from 20. Oh, that's funny. They didn't touch minion levels. Guys, summoners are just as strong. Guys, summoners are just as strong. Inherently. I'm sure specific summoners with specific items will not be as strong. But summoners in general, summoners are fine. You're looking for your League starter. There's your League starter. Man. What is it that Tarkat says? Tarky, what is it that you say? Water is wet, Reddit is angry. I'm sure tomorrow we're going to see a whole bunch of angry posts. Why are we going to have another Summoner League? Wah. This is not a big nerf. Commander of Darkness just got better. So if you want to play support Necromancer, it got better for you. All right, Assassin. Opportunistic now grants 25% more damage while there is at most one rare or unique enemy nearby, from 20%. Ambush and Assassinate now grants 25% more damage with hits and ailments against enemies that are on low life, from 20%. Mistwalker now grants 15% increased attack and cast speed while elusive, down from 20%. All right, so Ambush and Assassinate is a buff. Opportunistic is a buff. And Mistwalker is a slight nerf. So they want Assassin doing a little bit more damage, and they want it surviving a little less. I mean, that's fair. It's literally named Assassin, right? It's kill or be killed. Guardian. Radiant Faith now grants maximum energy shield equal to 10% of your reserve mana to you and nearby allies, down from 15%. That's not that big a deal. You can still go with a Herald of Agony Guardian and still play that. It's not going to be as strong as what it was, but it's still going to be really freaking strong. Okay, I guess, guys, if you're not going to watch any videos tomorrow with summaries of patch notes, this so far would be my summary of patch notes. The summary of patch notes is that in 3.9, Grinding Gear Games boosted the health of monsters and made monsters more scary. And in 3.10 Delirium League, they made you, the player, more scary again. That's what it is. That's what we're seeing here in between these two cycles. Granted, there are some things here and there that are getting buffed, and some things here and there that are getting nerfed. But that's the way how I see it. I see stuff is getting buffed across the way, and we're getting 280 new passives that we get to play with. Any build whatsoever that had any amount of questionable passives that were like, you know what, I'm going to go spend this amount of passives over here, but only because it's the most optimal version of what's available within this reach. Like, entire builds are going to be built around not necessarily putting all of your passive points into these extensions of the tree through the new keynotes, but there might be a couple of builds that really heavily invest in them. I know a lot of players are saying right now, oh, they're just there to augment here and there. No, you're going to see some of the top tier players grabbing top tier nodes that are designed specifically for their build rather than generic nodes that are designed for any build. Right? Whenever in doubt in any action RPG, if you can get more specific, generally game designers reward you for being more specific in your design as a player and in homogenizing the choices that you are making, because generally it's tougher to make things homogenize than be general, right? So the advantage of being general is that you have a bunch of stats out there that just kind of help, right? And they help a whole bunch of people, as opposed to if you make things really specific, they generally have better numeric values, but it's really tough to meet the requirements. And so you got these two things that balance off one another. Do you want to play something that's more generalized and therefore is less specific and less top end? Or do you want to play something that's ultra top end, but it's very specific, and so you need very specific stuff to make it work? And right now I'm just seeing a bunch of buffs across the board, both to players who want to play more general stuff. Stuff in general is coming up in terms of player power, which is fine. That's what players wanted to see, right? A lot of players said, hey, stop nerfing stuff. Make everything else better. That is a refrain that I've heard so much over the last 2 years. Quit nerfing things. Make everything better rather than nerfing stuff. Careful what you wish for. Item balance. Physical damage taken as chaos, fire, cold, lightning modifiers are now mutually exclusive. Excuse me? So if I have physical damage taken as chaos, 10%, physical damage taken as fire, 10%, it's not going to mean that 20% of damage is going to get split? Is that what that means? I wasn't using that on any of my builds last league, but I've used that in the past. That's interesting. Curse on hit modifiers found on rings are now mutually exclusive. This does not include ones obtained via item corruption. So how does that work if I can apply multiple curses? Does multiple curses mean that this is fine? That's interesting. Corrupting Jewels can now grant enemies have minus 2% to total physical damage reduction against your hits as an implicit. So that's a buff to pure physical builds. Which, by the way, speaking of pure physical builds, okay, Cyclone is in here. I'm not going to spoil it. It's on page 24. Cyclone is mentioned 3 times, but the first time is on page 22. Okay. Why wouldn't I use Cyclone on every single build? Guys, can you guys convince me of this? Okay, not on every single build. That's hyperbolic. If you can use Cyclone on your build, if your build has an eligible setup for you to use Cyclone, why wouldn't you want to use Cyclone? Somebody convince me. Somebody make an argument. Why would I not want to use Cyclone? Why would I actively go, nope, I don't want to have something that makes me stun immune. And now that there's passives that can make it so that way you're also curse immune while you're channeling, I don't want to use a skill that makes me curse immune, and I don't want to use something that makes me stun immune. I don't want to do it. Somebody convince me. Why do I not use Cyclone? Is it because I just have no attack speed and so I'm super slow? I'm not even talking about Impale and Cyclone as a double acting mechanic. I'm talking about anybody who can use Cyclone as a utility skill. Anybody. Like if I'm a dot build, I can go apply my dots and then cyclone around, and I have stun immunity while I'm cycloning and while my dot is going on. If I'm a minion build, it could be my movement ability, Keeps me active. Don't have to worry about stun immunity. Allows me to proc Fortify constantly. I don't understand. Deltran says, because you vomit when you spin. Okay, so maybe if I have some sort of physical ailment that actually makes me literally sick while I'm playing Cyclone. Okay, that's one argument. Anybody else got another one? Anybody else got an argument? Zeph says the mana cost can be high for some builds. Okay, that's fair. So maybe if the flat mana cost is high, yes. But if the repeated mana cost is high, just use an Enduring Mana Flask. You're fine. It takes one Mana Flask, and you're set up forever. Anybody else? Oh, Mr. C says minus 30% movement speed. Okay, so would you rather have minus 30% movement speed when you choose to have minus 30% movement speed, by the way, whenever you activate Cyclone? Or would you rather have you could be stunned? I'd rather have stun immunity. I'll figure out how to get around the 30% move speed. Quantum says, who cares? Lots of utility skills are used in crazy amounts of builds. It's fine. Here's the thing, Quantum. I'm not complaining that it is available in utility builds. My point of comparison is Cyclone is now at the level of being a meta gem like what Cast When Damage Taken is, right? Anybody on any build can look at Cyclone, and rather than seeing it as an active ability to be used and built around, it is a smack it into any single build because you should be using it, and you are actively hampering your build and other decisions that you can make if you're not using it. Well, Iron, you could take what is it? Unbreakable Will? Is that what it is? That's stun immunity, bottom left of the tree. Down into the Marauder. Unwavering Stance. Well, Iron, you could take Unwavering Stance, and then you're stun immune. Yeah, but I got a skill all the way down to the bottom left. I can socket Cyclone in, and boom, I'm immune to stuns. Oh, well, you can use Calm's Roots. Yeah, that's an item that I'm now using, losing my boot slot, which gives me move speed on, by the way, and potentially resistances and life and whatever else I want, and maybe even Tailwind. Which, by the way, if I'm not a build that was critting earlier, I'm using Cyclone, which attacks at a very, very high rate, even when you don't have scaling attack speed on it. Which means the chances of me attacking recently to give me Tailwind are even larger, which gives me action speed, which, again, reverses the whole move speed thing. Like, I'm not saying that Cyclone is a bad skill. I'm not saying that Cyclone needs to be nerfed and thrown in the garbage. I'm simply saying it is an incredibly useful skill to the point now that there is nothing that can compete with it in terms of its utility. There's nothing that can compete with it. Like, you are actively choosing not to use one of the best utility skills, if not the best utility skill in the game, if your build does not incorporate Cyclone somehow. Now, that's fine. Again, you don't need me to tell you how to play Path of Exile. You don't need anybody to tell you how to play Path of Exile. This is our hobby time, people, damn it, and let's all enjoy it the way how we want to enjoy it, right? That being said, from a design perspective, Cyclone is just better. It's just better to have as an option. To have as an option in your build, it's just better to have it around than to not have it. So why wouldn't you have it? And that's the exact reason why they nerfed Immortal Call in the way that they nerfed Immortal Call. They wanted to add more spice of life into the options and into the variety for that Cast When Damage Taken setup was. And they solved that not by changing anything with Cast When Damage Taken. Cast When Damage Taken was fulfilling its role. And maybe Cyclone is fulfilling its role as being the utility channeling skill that's also a movement skill that's also an incredibly high DPS skill as well. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's its intended function. In which case, it is serving that function and doing so marvelously. End of Cyclone rant. Somebody clip that and go do whatever you want with it. There's my Cyclone rant. Go post it on Reddit. I'll be like Reddit. To quote Tarky, water is wet, Reddit is angry, and Iron is bitching about Cyclone. All right. Corrupted implicits on belts, which increase 2 different attributes, are now mutually exclusive. So you can't roll Dex and Strength. You can't roll life, or you can't roll int and dex. Okay, interesting. That should make turning in corrupted headhunter cards a little bit more interesting. The Enduring modifier on Mana Flask now has 30% reduced duration from 25%, and now also has 30% reduced amount recovered. That's not a big deal. Flasks with this modifier are no longer queued when a stronger effect is active. Instead, the duration will continue to expire with no effect until the stronger flask effect ends or the Enduring Mana Flask duration expires completely. All right, so here's how you fix that. Everybody that's just like, hey, oh no, they nerfed Enduring modifier. No, they didn't. If the only flask you were using was an Enduring Mana Flask in order to keep its effect rolling, whether that's for MOM reasons or for any other reasons that you would like it rolling, maybe you've got your bleed flask set up on Enduring and you just always want to permanently be, immune to bleed, and so you just constantly have it going. Whatever the reason it is that you're using an Enduring Mana Flask, as long as you're using it, and that's the only Mana Flask that you're using, there's not going to be another stronger effect that's going to take over. So unless you're like leeching mana and that's something that's a better effect, it's not gonna take over. Unless your mana regen is better than actually pressing your button for Enduring modifier, that's fine. Bows can now roll a high level suffix, which caused them to fire 2 additional arrows. That's kind of cool. The existing splintering mod can now appear on lower level bows and is more common. That's pretty cool. Botmaster says you can't roll Dex and Strength and Int Strength, thereby double dipping Strength. Oh, I see what you're saying. You can't have 2 times increased attributes from double dipped corruptions. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. See, this is what I'm talking about here. We have a helpful community here. I'm a boomer. I say something stupid. You guys point it out. That's helpful. That is what the kids today would call lit, I believe. I believe I'm using that description properly. The of Tactile modifier can now only appear on body armors. It now reduces damage taken over time by 5 to 7% from 8 to 10. If you use a Divine Orb, the item will update to these new values. Okay. So don't divine your body armors if you were using that. The Tactize modifier on weapons now adds 3 to 5% of physical damage as extra chaos, which is down from 8 to 10%. Whoa! You can divine your old weapons if you want to lower the damage you deal for some reasons. So I just have a bunch of legacy weapons now in standard. All right, woohoo! I like that. I like making money in standard. That's exciting. The Tapotentes modifier. How do I say this? Tapotente. Am I saying this correctly? Let's find out. My British assistant will help me out here.
Topotons.
Oh wow, Tapotente was absolutely wrong.
Topotons.
Topotons. The Topotons modifier elemental resistance penetration now only applies to attacks and now penetrates 5 to 7% of enemy resistances from 13 to 15%. Existing items are affected by the penetration type change, and using a Divine Orb will bring existing items to these new values. The Guatalitzes? Let's try that one. Guatalitzi? Am I murdering that one? Shifty says, hey Iron, I don't know what you think, but could we all go to Ziz and tell him to get some tea and go to sleep? He doesn't look well. No, Shifty, I'm not going to go raid somebody else's stream.
Guatalitzes.
Guatalitzes! Yeah! We hit it right. All right. Woohoo! We hit that one right. The Guatalitzes jewelry modifier now grants 2% increased maximum life, down from 3 to 5%. The energy shield version now grants 3% increased maximum energy shield, down from 8 to 10%. Using a Divine Orb will bring these existing items down to a crappier level. The Zopex modifiers can no longer appear on boots, gloves, or helmets. The amulet version now grants increased maximum mana rather than flat mana regeneration. This affects existing items. The of Puharte? Puharte?
Puhuart.
I'm sorry. I'm being insensitive right now. I'm trying not to be.
Puhuart.
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 It's like, who art thou, O Pooh? Puhuart. Okay, Puhuart. The of Puhuart modifier now grants 3 to 5% physical damage taken as an element, down from 9 to 10. Divine it if you'd rather be taking more physical damage. The Cyndaquil. Is this like the Pokemon? That's what I'm going to call it. I'm just going to call it the Cyndaquil. The Cyndaquil, right? Am I even murdering that name? The Cyndaquil. Cyndaquil? Whatever. The one-handed modifier now grants 50 to 66% increased damage dealt by your minions, down from 70 to 74. The two-handed versions of the weapon are now 85 to 94% increased damage. Hey, does that mean, Red, if you're out there in chat, if you're watching, you're probably off with your guild mates right now, cleverly playing. You're probably playing standard right now, making tons of mirrors right now. You probably just made a bunch of money today off of this, right? This is a big buff for you and your crafting. In standard, I think that is. I could be wrong. The Frostblink Travel Distance Labyrinth Helm enchantment now grants 50% increased travel distance from the Merc Lab, down from 65, and 75% increased travel distance from the Eternal, from 100%. This does not affect existing items with the Lab enchant. Oh, so if you had this, it's Legacy now. Nice. You can no longer obtain the +2 projectiles to Pyroclast Mine Helmet. The +1 variant now exclusively comes from the Eternal Labyrinth. Wow, so those are all Legacy. If you had one of those are Legacy in Standard. Way to go make a whole bunch of currency in Standard. Lenadov says, by the way, calling someone a boomer is now a hate crime. They are calling it elder abuse. Lenadov, I demand you and your elder abuse. Take that back, young man. Elder abuse. Back in my day, we didn't have elder abuse. We had sticks and stones, and we used them to hurt each other, okay? That's what we did. None of this word crap. We didn't even speak 2 words to each other. All while we were walking uphill both ways to school. Didn't say a word. Not until your teacher called on you, you raised your hand, and then you shouted out whatever answer it was to whatever problem it was that she was asking you for an answer for. And then on the playground, we grabbed sticks, stones, and continued beating each other. Back in my day. Crafted modifiers. The Veiled modifier that grants +1 to your maximum number of summoned skeletons and raised zombies can now only be unveiled crafted on the helmet slot. It can no longer be uncrafted unveiled on body armors. That's fine. I didn't care about that. We weren't using that. Did you guys not nerf strength stacking? Influenced item modifiers. New mods are available on Hunter influenced and Warlord influenced gloves. Another tier of maximum resistance modifiers are now available on boots, gloves, helmets, and shields. Quivers can now roll the second tier of these modifiers. Why would I play a staff? Why would I play a staff when you can get max all resist rolls or max resist rolls on your quiver? Why would I play a staff? Like, literally, if you're like, well, it's a spell user and you use a staff. Yeah, did you know bows can use staffs as well and you can roll levels on those? It's just, why? 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 Crusader, Redeemers, Hunters, Warlords, Exalted Orbs will now correctly obey the mod restrictions, daggers, and war staves. Okay. Shaper influenced helmets can now gain nearby enemies take increased elemental damage. That's really good. Elder influenced quiver can no longer gain chance to gain a frenzy charge on kill. Don't worry. There's so many other ways to create frenzy charges nowadays. I really want to play a raider this league. I'm telling that to you guys in chat, not to bait you guys into playing raiders as your league starters. I'm just letting you know I really want to play a raider this league. It's not going to be my league starter most likely, but I'm going to probably play a raider at some point. Warlord's influence belts can now gain increased damage at values slightly higher than those found on veiled items. Okay. Shaper influence belts can no longer gain increased energy shield. That's a bummer. Increased fire, cold, and lightning damage modifiers on belts from the Warlord, Redeemer, and Crusader influence belts respectively can now each roll 5% higher than previously. Existing items can be divined to these new values. Yeah, it's a speed clear meta. We're back, boys. Hunter influenced amulets can now gain chaos damage leached as life. That's really good. All right, fossil crafting. What are they doing to murder fossil crafting? We want crafting to be a way to get great items. That's what it is right now. But not the only way to get the very best items. Fossil crafting in particular was the only way to obtain a large number of very desirable mods. We've done away with all fossil exclusive mods except those found on faceted, bloodstained, and hollow fossils, and moved a number of them to other sources. These mods can still be obtained through fossil crafting as long as the base item also fulfills the mod's requirements. Wow. Okay, so faceted, bloodstained, and hollow fossils will still retain a lot of their value, but everything else just tanked. Fossils can no longer craft any prefix or suffix mods that cannot be obtained elsewhere, with the exception of those granted by faceted, bloodstained, and hollow fossils. Implicit modifiers, such as the one which changes an item's vendor price, remain. The following mods have been relocated, while all the others can no longer be obtained. So they removed mods from the mod pool? Has that... Yeah, Oak, you're right. Rip shiny rocks. Has that ever happened? Pedro says, why you think you would play a raider? I am definitely going to play a raider, just so that way you know. Personally, because I think that frenzy charges are incredibly strong. I think frenzy charges are incredibly strong, and I think right here, let me just show you really quick why I think raiders are really good. This is just a really quick, too long, didn't watch. Hi, YouTube. My name, or what is it? How is it that I start videos? See, I'm losing like sections of my brain as the evening goes on. Hello, and what is up, YouTube? That's how I do it. Hello, and what is up, YouTube? My name is G3Iron, and today I'm going to show you in 30 quick seconds why it is that I might play a raider. Raiders get a whole bunch of frenzy charges and a whole bunch of boosts to their frenzy charges. And then on top of that, you can get phasing and elemental immunity all the way. Or if you'd rather go onslaught and attack really, really fast, you can do that. On top of that, there's a whole bunch of different slots on the passive tree where frenzy charges are available. Now, if you look over here on the right-hand side of the passive tree, there's a frenzy charge here, and there's a frenzy charge here. That gives you 2 additional frenzy charges. There's a third frenzy charge over here. That puts you up to 3. Then you get 1 additional one off of your Ascendancy. That puts you at 4 plus 3 as a base. That puts you at 7 frenzy charges. That gives you a ton of free damage, regardless of your weapon layout, regardless of your itemization. You could be poor, you could be broke, you could look like me, you could look like the Templar and not even have a shirt on your back. But you're running around with this many frenzy charges, and you're probably killing anything that looks at you the wrong way, kind of like Clint Eastwood does when he walks into a Western bar scene. What are you looking at, punk? That's what you're going to do to any monster that looks at you the wrong way. So you pick up those frenzy charges, you go through as fast as you can, exploding anything that you want. And lastly, because it's 3.10 League, did I mention that this is Raider and it's close to the outside of the tree? Do you notice how all of these frenzy charges are indeed close to the outside of the tree? So boom, here's an outside jewel socket. Boom, here's another outside jewel socket. And if you really want to go extreme, there's even another jewel socket that's way up here by CI. So if you want to go with a CI Raider, there's another external jewel socket that you could go. So if you really want to extend your passive tree out and fill in with a whole bunch of the different notables that are now going to be available in 3.10 Delirium League, Raider is at least one way that you can get a whole bunch of free, cheap damage off of stacking frenzy charges and then grabbing whatever notables the game thankfully throws your way. Thanks so much for watching. I hope a Mirror of Calandra drops for you. Okay, so that's the too long didn't care to read or think. That's why I think Raider is going to be really good, is because it's incredibly, incredibly cheap. And you can really, really scale up your damage really, really quickly, and you can zoom through content. And it's close to the outside of the tree in order to build the spine of your tree, so there's a lot of passives that are still there. That's okay. That's my Raider impression. Helmet. Nearby enemies have minus fire resistance. Nearby enemies have cold resistance on Redeemer. Nearby enemies have lightning, now from Crusader. That makes sense. Nearby enemies have chaos resistance from Hunter. Okay, that makes sense. Nearby enemies take increased physical damage from Elder Influence. Increased effect of Fortify, now on Crusader. So +1 to global level of raised Specters you get from Elder on boots. So if you're going for a raised Specter build, you want Elder boots as soon as possible. Body armor socketed attacks have -15 to mana cost now from Warlord's Influence. And X% increased aura effect on you now from Redeemer's influence. All right. I think on the one hand, this is a definite nerf to delve fossils, right? This is a definite nerf for their value. However, that being said, I think this will actually make it easier to craft stuff. Delve is great. I love Delve. Delve is by far my favorite league still. That being said, I think this will make crafting easier for the vast majority of the Path of Exile community. Welcome, by the way, if you are new to our patch notes reading of the 3.10 stream, you can go ahead, like, subscribe, and ding the bell to be notified about more videos just like this one. You hitting the like button is a way that you tell me, hey, Iron, I think it's cool that you're streaming, and you should stream more. If you don't hit the like button, then I instantly take that as a threat and perceive that you don't want me to be streaming. And so I might just shut down the stream immediately. There's my hollow YouTuber threat. All right, Quiver X% chance to gain a Frenzy Charge on hitting a rare or unique enemy. Now from Elder's influence. Yeah, see, that's good. Like, now Elder Quivers that are going to drop is actually good. As opposed to before, which it was like there's one or two stats that you want. I like this philosophy, okay? Welcome back, Mr. C, with food. There you go. I like this philosophy of not just removing everything, but moving stuff around for crafting purposes. Like, Delve has had its day in the sun, and so now they're rotating the crafting meta. I think this is interesting. I'm not sure yet if it's good. I think it's interesting. All right, weapons, rings, belt, increased chaos damage from Hunter, increased fizz from Elder, increased Ellie from Shaper, increased energy shield from body armor, Shaper influence, and now a prefix. Oh, that's interesting. Chance for double armor effect when hit from Elder's influence is now a prefix. That sounds really good for all the Vol Molten Shell boys out there. Rings, fire, cold, lightning, physical, chaos, leech modifiers can now be exclusively be found from special elemental delve encounters. Oh, okay, so delve encounters are going to be more and more like the Temple of Atsuatl. You're going to have to drop a special delve ring in order to get those rolls. Weapons. Socketed attack spells deal X% more damage, now found on Shaper influence. Chance for poison bleeding inflicted with this weapon to deal more damage, now found on Elder. Chance to intimidate on hit, now found from Hunter. Auras from your skills grant increased damage to you and allies, now from Redeemer. Nice. Jewels. Oh, whoops. I clicked on gloves. See, look at me. My geriatric eyes are clicking on the wrong thing. Jewels. Damage penetrates 1% fire, cold, lightning, elemental resistance, now from Corrupted Implicits. Okay, cool. Glove, amulet, and shield fossil exclusive modifiers can no longer be obtained in any form. Existing items will be unchanged. I think I have 2 legacy shields then in standard right now. I think. I could be wrong. But I think I have some legacy stuff now. That's exciting. Woohoo! Yeah, I know. None of you guys care about standard. When you grow old and gray and you have terrible micro clicking ability, you'll care about standard, okay? Just trust me, kids. Back in my day, we didn't have standard. And now we do, and I enjoy it. From time to time between leagues. While I'm waiting for the Wilson devs to pull their heads out of their asses and release a full game. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that? Okay, unique item balance. Unique Watchstone always drop with a number of uses that is a multiple of 3. All right, so you have 3 uses, you have 6 uses, you have 9 uses. Okay. The Savior. Mirage Warriors created by this weapon can now consume charges to bypass cooldowns. If the skill they use has a cooldown that can be bypassed this way, for example, Flicker Strike Mirage Warriors, they will now consume frenzy charges until they run out, at which point they will only use Flicker Strike once the cooldown expires. These Mirage Warriors now have a cool new effect. Maybe I'm going to make a savior build, huh? What are you going to do about it, see? What are you going to do about it, see? Maybe I'll make a savior build. Maybe I'll go out there and I'll play a melee build. Maybe, you know, you never know. Maybe I'll go out there and I'll get something with cleave and I'll play a two-hander. Why would I play a two-hander when I can play anything with wands or summoners still? I can play a summoner and use a two-hander, or use a one-hander and a shield and Cyclone everywhere. Playing a two-hander. Singularity. The aura granted by this item now has a radius of 35 units from 25. This affects all versions of the item. Guys, I just had an epiphany. I just figured it out. That's got to be what my divination card's got to be once we get to that point, right? When I submit a divination card to GGG, it has to be a divination card that gives you a two-hander of some kind, because it'll be absolutely worthless. Ugh. Like, has a chance to, when you turn in this set of 17 cards, you'll get a two-hander that gives you an implicit bonus of 1% increased attack damage. Alright, Xerfi's Heart. Now grants Soul Eater for 20 seconds upon using a Vol skill, up from 10 seconds. Existing versions of this item can be brought up these... Alright, it's a Xerfi's Heart League. Solstice Vigil now has 30 to 40% increased damage, up from 20 to 25% damage, and 8 to 10 mana regeneration per second, up from 2 to 3. The Shaper's Presence buff granted by this item now grants minus 20% to buff expiration speed, down from 33%. This buff change affects all versions of the item. However, existing versions will need to have a Divine Orb. Guys, we just went, like, we are teleporting in time to Legion League. I'm confused. We are teleporting in time back to Legion League. We're going to be doing Headhunters and self-cursing, and we're going to be buffing those self-curses. Tempered Flesh, Spirit, Mind, and Transcendent Flesh, Spine, Merit have been completely reworked. Oh, good. Are they going to be good now? Existing items are not affected, and only new versions of these items will have the following changes. Tempered Flesh now grants -1 to strength per strength on allocated passives, and 2% increased life recovery rate per 10 strength on allocated passives. Okay. Tempered Spirit now grants -1 dex, and gives 2% increased move speed. That could be good. That could be really good. Tempered Mind now grants -1 int per intelligence on allocated passives and gives you 2% increased mana recovery. Transcendent Flesh now grants -1 strength, gives 3% increased life recovery rate per 10 strength, 2% reduced life recovery rate per 10 strength on unallocated passives, and 7% to critical strike multiplier per 10 on unallocated passives. Wow, so if you don't care about life recovery rate, you can get a bunch of crit strike multi on there. That's nice. If you had 70 strength in a wheel, that's a lot. That's 7 times 7 is 49, right? That's 49 crit multi. That's a lot. That's a good amount. %3 increased movement speed per 10 dex, 2% reduced movement speed per 10 dex on unallocated, and 125 to accuracy. Pfft. I don't care. I just want the move speed. Give me move speed. Transcendent Mind now grants 1% intelligence per intelligence. 3% increased mana recovery rate per 2% reduced mana recovery rate. Unallocated passives give +3 to damage over time multiplier per 10 intelligence. That's no joke. That's really good. All right. So the number of people who have said their league starting with Essence Drain Contagion makes me say that some of them are at least going to try out Transcendent Mind. So if you get a Transcendent Mind, make sure you throw it in a public stash tab and let somebody price it for you. Because That's potentially good. I'm not saying it's very good. I'm saying it's potentially good. Grand Spectrum. Cobalt versions now grant 25% increased critical strike chance per Grand Spectrum. Viridian versions now grant 15% increased elemental damage per Grand Spectrum from 12%. Huh. So Grand Spectrum just straight up changed. That's interesting. I don't know what to make of that. It's interesting. I think there will be other builds that will still be enabled by that. Fevered Mind now increases the mana cost of all skills by 50% from 100% and grants 30 to 40 increased spell damage from 20 to 30%. This would affect existing items, except since they're all corrupted, you can't re-roll them. Blame it, Ziri. That's fun. Fate of the Vault now has 180 to 210% increased physical damage, up from 160 to 180. Existing versions can be updated with a Divine Orb. Nice. Shadow Stitch now has 250 to 350% increased defenses. Existing items are unaffected. Sorry. On's Heritage now grants +2 to maximum elemental resistances while you have no endurance charges, down from +3. You can use a Divine Orb on existing items to increase the odds of you dying while wearing it. Yeah, no thanks. It's still, by the way, On's Heritage is still a great way to get early league maximum endurance resistances. It's really good. Where is it? On's Heritage? I believe it's the shield, right? Yeah, right here. You will have Onslaught while at maximum endurance charges, but then if you use Pacifism, is it Pacifism? I think it is. Then you go down to like 0 endurance charges ever, and you're just always at your maximum endurance charges. And then you also never have endurance charges. So you always have +2, and then you're always having Onslaught, so your shield charge goes a lot faster. It's a really, really good early way of getting Onslaught to go a little bit faster while you're going through as your summoner, as well as extra additional maximum resistances. Shaper's Touch now grants +1 mana per 4 strength, down from +2, and 1% increased energy shield per 10 strength, down from 2% increased energy per 10 strength. You can use a Divine Orb on existing versions if you feel it is unethical to have that much mana and energy shield, because it is. So they cut it in half. They didn't make it higher strength requirements, but they give you diminishing returns on what you had. All right, so I just want to calculate really quick how much of a nerf that was. Bear with me. Let's actually look. Go to Steel Draconis. Go look at, where is it? Level 90 something. Innocence Golden Arts right here. All right, import this character. This character presently has 15,000 energy shield. Okay, that's what I presently have. Let's go look at items. Shaper's Touch. Can I edit this item? Whoops. Oh my goodness, I'm such a boomer. Can I edit? There we go. Is it 1%? So 2 goes to 1, and 1% energy shield from 2. Okay. So 1% and 1. All right, let's see what that does. I was at 15,000 ES. Add to build. We're gonna edit the name on this. Shaper's Touch, new version. There we go. Save. Add to build. We're gonna see here the gloves. Shaper's Touch, new version. Drum roll, please. We go from 15,200 ES to... Oh my gosh, they killed it. 10,000 ES. And this is with what? 10 jewels? And a gazillion strength? Like, where's my strength on this thing? 2,100 strength? Oh my gosh, they did it. They actually killed it. They killed strength stacking, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Congratulations, Chris Wilson. You win this round, sir. Yeah, they killed it. It's probably good. Oh, can we get some F's in chat, ladies and gentlemen, for anybody that used to use Shaper Touch? That was 5,000 energy shield right there. That was a third of my health pool. Oh my goodness. Well, it's a good thing that character's still composed in standard, because I have to use a Divine Orb on it, and I'm not going to do that. So that character is still there. That character will be a testament to time. Wow. All right, let's see what's next. Crown of Eyes now causes increases and reductions to spell damage to apply to attacks at 150% of their value from 100%. This affects all versions. That sounds really good. So Crown of Eyes is already going to be very, very much desirable this league. And now they just buffed it. Right? For those of us unfamiliar with Crown of Eyes, because this is one of the uniques that I don't have memorized. Crown of Eyes rolls. Increased accuracy rating, increased energy shield. Gives you minus fire resistance. Gives you attack damage leeches life, attack damage leeches mana, and then increases and reductions to spell damage also apply to attacks. What was I thinking of then? Not Crown of Eyes. I wasn't thinking of Crown of Eyes then. What helm was I thinking of? Help me out, chat. What helm was I thinking of in my boomer brain that is shutting down different components of my brain even as we speak? Even as the hair falls from my balding forehead, more and more components of my brain fall to the wayside. I don't remember. It's okay. Alright, Chains of Command. The skills granted by this item have been updated in line with Animate Weapon. The level 18 version of the skill adds 108 to 159 physical damage to the attacks of minions animated by it. This level of the skill can animate up to 13 minions. The level 20 version of the skill adds 126 to 184 physical damage to the attacks of minions animated by it. This level of the skill can animate up to 14 minions. Both have a base duration of 20 seconds. These changes affect all versions of the item. Question is there a multiplier on the item and does it work? Or is it another whoops? Jorhas's Black Steel, the on-kill skill. This weapon has been updated in line with Animate Weapon as well and also affects all versions of the item. The Baron now grants 10 to 20% increased minion maximum life from 20%. Plus 1 to maximum number of raised zombies per 500 strength from 300. With at least 1,000 strength, 1.5 to 2% of damage dealt by your raised zombies is leached to his life, down from 2%. Using a Divine Orb will update existing versions of this item to these new values. I'm not going to update those. I won't, not on my build. Somebody else can do that. I'm going to keep my character a trophy. Oh, man. Okay, so that means at 2,100 life, instead of getting 7 zombies from that, you're getting 4. Yeah, they killed it. They killed it. Well, so this is what I'm going to say. This is what I'm going to say. Oh, Inward Eye. Thank you, Matthew. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Inward Eye, not the Crown of Eyes. Inward Eyes. Matthew gets 10 points. Good job, Matthew. So, here's what I'm going to say on this. Hey, YouTube. My name is G3Iron. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not how I start. Hello, and what is up, YouTube? You can see some timestamps above my slightly balding forehead. And, of course, you can like, subscribe, and ding the bell to be notified about more video discussions just like this one. The Baron helmet was indeed murdered, and so was strength stacking. If you don't believe me, Just check this really, really OP Necromancer. That was amazing during the Metamorph League. It had 15,000 energy shield, and with the same gear, but with updated values, it drops down to 10,000 energy shield. So it's been murdered, okay? It's been absolutely murdered. I used to have 7 additional Baron zombies, and now I'm going to only have 4. So, you know, you can still play it if you really want to force it. It's still going to be a build. You can still run it. It's just not nearly going to be as powerful with that level of maximum investment. So, that being said, what you can do is you can just pivot and play a summoner build that's not a strength summoner build, and you're still going to be just as strong, if not stronger, okay? Because we are getting all kinds of damage, all kinds of passive nodes, and all kinds of updates to minions. So, if you thought that summoners were dead, well, you're in fact wrong. It's their armies that are dead, undead to be precise. They are very much alive and very much will be present in the upcoming 3.10 Delirium League. I can't promise that they're going to be meta because frankly, players are sick of playing summoners and they don't like the playstyle, which, unless you're like me and you do like the playstyle, is going to mean that a lot of players are going to roll off of summoners, and that's perfectly fine by me because it means all of my various items that I need to make my summoners work are going to be cheaper. Thanks so much for watching, and yada yada yada, Mirror of Calandra. Death's Harp now grants 50 to critical strike multi, down from 100%. You can Divine Orb to ruin it and any existing Death's opuses. Obliteration now has 25 to 50 to 85 to 125 added physical damage. That is a way, way up. That's a strong buff there. You can use a Divine Orb to update existing versions. Thread of Hope clarified the description of the area in which you can allocate passives. Eclipse Solaris no longer has added physical damage, now has 30 to 45 to 60 to 80 added fire damage, and 6 to 10% increased attack speed. This does not affect existing versions of this item or its faded version, Corona Solaris. Doriani's Fist now has 30% increased shock effect, 80 to 100 to maximum energy shield from 30%. 30% chance to shock from 10%, and now grants 200 to 250 energy shield on killing a shocked enemy. Existing items can be updated to these new values with a Divine Orb, but won't get the increased shock effect. The Doriani's Touch skill granted by this item now has 30% less attack speed from 50% less, and now has 40% chance to shock up from 20%. These changes affect all versions of the item. That's nice. Seems like a lot. Mind of the Council no longer recovers mana on shocking an enemy. Now causes attack skills to have added lightning damage equal to 6% of your maximum mana, and causes you to lose 3% of your mana when you use an attack skill. Now has 15 to 20 to maximum energy shield. This does not affect existing versions. That's interesting. You no longer get the mana recovery on shock. That's what I was looking at when I was looking at Mind of the Council as making a really OP build for a lightning build, just so that way you know. Something that I was thinking about the last couple of days is using Mind of the Council and just shocking everything like multiple times and spending all of your mana using Archmage support and then recovering all of your mana due to shocking stuff, but I guess that idea just went out the window. Soul Catcher no longer grants reduced cost of souls. Oh, it now grants 80 to 120% increased critical strike chance with Vol skills. They killed perma Vol skills. It now increases damage with Vol skills by 80 to 120. Using a Divine Orb on existing items will grant the new values, but will not change the Vol soul cost modifier. Soul Ripper has been reworked. It now has minus 40 to plus 90 maximum charges and consumes maximum charges on use, granting Vol souls equal to the consumed charges. It now loses all charges on entering a new area. So Soul Ripper just became Legacy. So I just want to see this really quick. What are Soul Rippers going for now? They were like 20x, by the way, in standard before the merge. Oh my goodness. I just made a whole bunch of currency on my Soul Rippers. That's great news. In Standard League, but it's good news for me. The Divination card, the Dark Mage, no longer gives a War Staff as a reward. The Divination card, the Price of Protection, can once again drop. It now always grants a Chateau map of equal tier to whatever tier it would be if all Watchstones are socketed in its region in the current league. Monster changes. Monster movement speed now has a lower limit, beyond which they cannot be slowed further. For magic monsters, that limit is 10% of their base movement speed. For rare and unique monsters, that limit is 20% of their base movement speed. Monster skills that appear to deal damage in waves, such as the Bat Monster's Screech in Highgate's Mines, now actually do. Previously, the damage was dealt instantly across the whole area. Yeah. So that's why it felt like while they were attacking you and you got one shot, you're like, what? Why was it that I was getting one shot or sometimes not taking any damage? It's because all the damage was dealt. And so if none of it actually got you, then it didn't get you, even though the animation was going off. Duresso's spinning blades will now play a short animation before they begin dealing damage. So Duresso's spinning blades are just going to be like, hey, and then they'll start like spinning around like they got this little dance going on. I like it. Delve changes. Delve areas are now considered to be the level of the monster in the shallowest part of the delve, meaning players will not be downscaled below the level of the shallowest part of the delve. It also means that item filters, which filter by area level, will work correctly in the Azurite mine. Okay. You can no longer enter delve areas if you are 20 levels or more below the shallowest part of the delve you are trying to access. Interesting. You can no longer join a delve encounter that is already in progress. The rate and volume of monsters that will spawn while you are in a city has been increased. Spooky. Incursion changes. All right, let's see. They said they were reworking the temple. So let's see what it looks like. If you are very lucky, you can now find double corrupted strings of servitude from incursion temples of level 80 or greater. That's nice. Many rooms now provide temple-wide bonuses for the present-day Temple of Atsuatl based on their tier. The following rooms now grant plus 1% to monster pack size, 2% increased quantity of items found, and 4% increased rarity of items found per room. Traps, armors, sparings, shrine, pools, hatchery, flame workshop, lightning workshop. Okay, I like it. Added quant in farming vault side areas. I like it. Chests in the present day incursion temple that previously contained either an incursion unique or a magic item with an architect's mod will now also drop 2 to 3 rare items with the architect's mod. Okay, so more temple stuff. The Poison Garden's higher tiers now add more and larger poison pods, including some that contain monsters at tier 3. The Tempest from the Tempest Generator and its higher tiers now strike much more frequently, and their effects last longer. Based on the tier of the Surveyor's study sequence of rooms, architects throughout the present-day temple will now drop map-related currency items. Oh, that's good. So that's a really strong way to get yourself going with some sextants early on, or even some chisels. So that's kind of interesting. The Royal Meeting Room and its higher tiers now add more magic monsters to the temple. If you manage to find Atziri in there, her base life will now much more closely match that of her Vol Fragment equivalent. Hey, so a nerf to how difficult that Atziri was. I seriously saw so many people post videos of taking on like the most OP version of whatever build it was that they were playing. They would just take some build that they basically spent a ton of currency on, and they would go in and just like wreck Cirrus, and then they would go into like the Royal Meeting Room and get wrecked by Atziri. It was pretty hilarious, but I'm glad those days are gone. All right, based on the tier of the Armorer's Workshop sequence of rooms, monsters throughout the present-day temple will benefit from increased elemental resistances and will take reduced physical damage, in line with similar map modifiers, including the benefits to item rarity, quantity, and monster pack size that those modifiers come with. Based on the tier of the Sparring Room sequence of rooms, monsters throughout the present-day temple will benefit from increased critical strike chance and critical strike multipliers in line with similar map modifiers, including the benefits to item rarity, quantity, and monster pack size that those modifiers come with. The Guardhouse and its higher tiers now increase the pack size of monsters throughout the temple. The Splinter Research Lab now contains a breach. Higher tier versions of this room add additional breaches and clasped hand chests. The Jeweler's Workshop and its higher tiers now also grant increased item rarity across the present-day temple. The Shrine of Empowerment now also grants monsters in the present-day temple increased attack and cast speed in line with similar map modifiers. Oh, including benefits of item rarity, quantity, and monster pack size that those modifiers come with. The Sanctum of Unity, Tier 2, now gives +1 to the level of monsters throughout the present-day temple. And the Temple Nexus, Tier 3, Gives +1 to the level of both monsters and items throughout the present day temple. Okay, that's a big buff. That's a big buff for farming high-level temples. Based on the tier of the hatchery sequence of rooms, monsters throughout the present-day temple will benefit from increased damage modifier in line with similar map modifiers, including the benefits of item rarity, quantity, and monster pack size. Based on the tier of the hatchery sequence of rooms, monsters get the same thing. Is this just literally the same line? Oh, extra lightning damage. Okay. Extra fire damage, extra lightning. Based on the tier of the Torment Cells series of rooms, monsters throughout the present-day temple will now start possessed beginning at tier 2. Oh, that's cool. A wider range of strongboxes can now be found in the strongbox chamber. Incursion crafting benches can now be used by characters on the same account other than the one that opened it. All right, so I just got to say here about the temple and about incursion and about grinding gear games in general. They once again have just got a massive amount of ambition because they're going back and they're reworking old leagues. Like they just did a massive rework of the way how Delve Fossils worked and spread out all of those different crafting options, or many of the crafting options, onto other more desirable, more current currency. And they're doing the same thing now with Incursion, where they're reworking it. They're reworking the Vol expansion with the Vol side area. Like, Chris Wilson said, hey, look, we don't want to ever do a league. I'm paraphrasing here, so don't hear what I'm not saying. Chris essentially said, we've talked internally about redoing leagues, but because if we just announced like Breach 2 or Incursion 2 or Delve 2, some players don't like those leagues. And so if we just announced that we were redoing those leagues and that was it, we would lose a lot of those players. But if we rework those leagues as we continue to work on new content, players will be happy. And I got to say, as a big-time supporter of grinding gear games, like, again, all of the stuff that I do in my gaming, like, I am not paid in any way, shape, or form. None of this is sponsored by grinding gear games. So everything that I'm doing here is coming from a spot of somebody who just enjoys the hell out of this game enough to play about it and talk about it with you all as a hobby. And I got to say, they're ambitious as hell, and they're giving us what we want, which is new content, and they're going back and they're revisiting old content. Like, there is a lot of really, really positive things to say about what they're doing in the scope of their ambition. All right, so all that being said, let's continue. Betrayal changes. Aisling can now award Metamorph Scarabs if she has the intervention job. She will now award double veiled weapons and jewelry if she's in transportation, and double veiled armor and jewelry if she's in fortification. The Mastermind can now drop Metamorph Scarabs. Nice. Map changes. We've made several large changes to Map Boss Life. Okay, how far are we? Map Boss Life. We're on page 18 out of 24. Okay, not bad. The copies of Edziri created during the Alluring Abyss Edziri fight now have approximately 5 times more life than before. Oh my goodness. Okay, so they just said that they were bringing the Temple of Atzoatl royal encounter with Edziri back in line with the Fragment Edziri. But is that just the Vol Fragment Edziri? Is that what that is? Her Vol Fragment. Okay, it is. It is. So this is Uber Edziri. Okay. So they made Uber Edziri much, much tougher, and they made base Edziri be more like the regular Edziri in the Temple of Atzoatl. Okay, that makes more sense. The bosses of Kyr Blad, Poor Joy's Asylum, Action's Nightmare, Maelstrom of Chaos, Malkoon, Olmec's Sanctum, Wakawaru Tahu, the Vinctor Square, the Perandus Manor, Putrid Cloister, Twilight Temple, Doriani's Machinarium, Hallowed Ground, and Pillars of Arun have had their life significantly increased. Okay. So bosses got harder. Some bosses got harder. Oh, that's very nice. Earlier update from my wife when she asked, do you need clothes tomorrow? And I said, no, I'll just go the way of the Templar with no clothes. She just told me she left me clothes by the bedside, so that's quite nice of her. So now I won't have to go to work naked tomorrow. Isn't that nice for all my coworkers? The unshaped monsters at the end of the Shaper Gauntlets have also had their life increased. Okay, so doing Shaper will take a little bit more time, but not because of Shaper, just because of pushing those guys. Okay. That makes sense. Maps offered as part of a Zana mission will now inherit the awakening level of the map Zana is standing in. Nice! That's a good buff. So hey, again, pushing Awakener level actually gives you bonuses as you're interacting with content. I like that. I like that. Zana's level is now based on the number of bonus objectives you have completed, rather than just the number of maps completed on your Atlas. Okay, so that makes that a little bit tougher. The Brutus, Merveil, and Weaver map bosses equivalents have received the same upgrades as their campaign versions did in 3.9. Okay, so they're going to be tougher to fight. They have more innovations. Burial Chambers has moved to Tier 7 specifically, so there isn't one lonely little Tier 7 map. Okay. The Monsters Avoid Elemental Ailments map modifier now grants monsters 30, 50, 70% chance to avoid elemental ailments instead of 30, 60, 90. I thought you were getting rid of that. You're getting rid of it, guys. I must have misread an announcement somewhere. I thought they were getting rid of the chance to avoid elemental ailments, or was that just immune? The monsters avoid poison, bleeding, and blind map modifier now grants 20, 30, 50 instead of 25, 40, 65. The Shaper now takes significantly reduced damage at the start of each phase, which tapers off over 8 seconds. Ah! I'm laughing at you if you play a Trapper build. So he got tougher to just like one-shot as he's coming out of his phase. People in Standard are still going to blow him up because people in Standard have just got ridiculous gear. But that's interesting. It means you're not just going to be able to instantly phase Shaper unless you've got a build that's designed to do precisely that. That's interesting. The Death and Taxes boss visuals have been improved, and it now has more life, uses new skills, moves more quickly, and will transition phases more rapidly. Oh. It will no longer target non-player characters such as minions during these phase transitions. Oh. Fewer extra monsters spawn during the fight. The boss now always drops maps-related currency on death. We have more extensive changes planned for this map. Interesting. Improved character visibility in Drox the Warlord's Arena. Nice. I like that. I like being able to see my own character. Veritania the Redeemer will now move out of the storm more reliably. Nice. Baran the Crusader's mana runes won't stick around after he is slain anymore. It's not like we had a challenge that was having to deal with that last league, right? Oh, everybody can laugh that that's over. We can laugh that we no longer have to do that. The bosses of Vol Pyramid will now spawn much more quickly. Nice. Clarified that the monsters deal X damage as Fire, Cold, Lightning is based on their physical damage. Entrances, NPC locations, and spawn areas no longer have ground effects near them. Nice. So you're not going to walk up to Zana and she's standing on burning ground. That's nice. Okay, Zana map. Oh, wow, this is a tongue twister. Zana map mods available during the Delirium 3.10 league. There we go. I can say it. Fortune Favors the Brave, Ambush for 2C, Abyss for 2C, Bloodlines for 3C, Domination for 3C, Parandus for 4, Beyond for 5, and Blight for 8. So, once again, if you want to know, too long don't care to watch, Headhunters are going to be more expensive because you can't chance them. So, there will be a little bit more rare than when you can chance them. UI improvements. When you attempt to send a message to a player that is not online, the auto response will now specify which player it is you're referring to. That's nice. So now when you message me and you're like, G3 Iron, I think all of the things that you have to say is dumb, it'll say, G3 Iron is no longer online. You can now search for Watchstones with Sextants in the Atlas search bar. You can now see all of the current Zana map device options immediately upon unlocking the map device, as well as what is required to unlock each of Zana's map devices options by hovering over them. You are now warned the first time you attempt to use a map after an Atlas reset, so you are aware that the state of your Atlas has changed. Interesting. Standardize the behavior of instant skills bound to the left-click button or any button that is held thusly. All non-Vol Guard skills, Blood Rage, Detonate Mines, Convocation, holy moly, there's a whole bunch of stuff, will only be used. All auras and other reservation skills will only be used once, but will also require that you have attack in place set. They'll repeat as long as you hold down the button. So you can just run around holding down brand recall. That's actually kind of nice. Don't tell Chris I'm planning on league starting X, Y, or Z. Quest rewards. Whoops, I just went backwards. That's terrible. Quest rewards. Kinetic Bolt is now offered to the Witch for completing enemy at the gate. Can be purchased from Nessa by the Shadow, Ranger, and Scion. Well, there goes my Juggernaut Kinetic Bolt Blaster. Bummer. Arcane Cloak is now offered to the Witch, Templar, and Shadow for completing Intruders in Black. Blade Blast is now offered to the Shadow instead of Frenzy for completing Intruders in Black. Spellslinger is now offered to the Witch for completing Lost in Love and can be purchased from Clarissa by the Templar, Shadow, and Scion. Okay. So no Pathfinders. You're going to have to wait until you get to Siosa to get Spellslinger, right? Or even Lily, or just buy it off the market. Stormbind is now offered to the Witch and Templar instead of Vortex. Okay. Archmage is now offered to the Witch, Templar, and Shadow. Second Wind is now offered to the Ranger and Shadow instead of Fire Penetration. Okay, nice. PvP changes. I'm not going to read any of these. I don't think I'm offending any of you if I don't. I'm certainly not offending me. All right, and a whole bunch of bug fixes. All right. So here's the bug fixes. I'm not going to read all these. That's a lot. Appendix. Removed something. Removed U shifty M&Ms. It will not return in a future patch. Get well soon. What does that mean? Does that mean user shifty? That's bummer. Recently added. Animate weapon. Now has the physical tag. Now animates a weapon. Oh, so she's editing this. Okay, she's editing this as we're reading it. Oh, here's an update to Power Siphon. Somebody's been talking about Power Siphon. Kinetic Blast now deals base damage and has added damage effectiveness of 140% at gem level 1 up to 155 at level 20. Okay, so Kinetic Blast got a little bit better. Power Siphon now deals base damage and has added damage effectiveness at 140% at gem level 1 up to 159% at gem level 20. We really hope you enjoy your Path of Exile Delirium. Thanks for your support. Okay. Oh, you guys are saying this guy had his appendix removed. Okay, I get it now. I get it now. Well, hopefully he gets well soon. Okay, so my initial impressions. Where's my paint? Where did paint go? Get back to my trusty paint. So my initial impressions are summoners are still going to be good. Right? Summoners are still going to be good. Summoners are still good. Here's the bad news about it. All right? The bad news is, where is it? Strength stacking, stir stacking for ES or for zombies. That's bad, right? That's bad. That's on the way down. Summoners is good. That's my initial thoughts as a summoner player. That is my highly educated, highly informed, highly opinionated, balding take on patch notes. Summoners are still going to be good, especially Specters. I think especially Specters. I think that's the way how it's going to work. Okay, so what I need to do now is I need to think on this stuff. I need to sleep on it. You all probably need to think on this stuff and sleep on it. But we now have what is known as patch notes. So we've all been waiting for patch notes day before we choose our league starters. Now we can start to throw them around. So I'm going to give those of you who have borne with me and belabored and stayed true through the stream and through the reading of patch notes, I'm going to give you a couple of thoughts before I hit the hay and before we get on with the rest of our day if you're wherever you are in the world. So those of us who still want some of those spoilers, if you don't want any of those spoilers, feel free to drop out, say goodnight. We'll give you a couple of thoughts here. So first off, a couple of different builds that are going to be really, really strong. Okay? Cyclone. Cyclone. It's going to be good. Okay? It's going to be good. You're probably going to see me recommend it, and you're probably going to see a whole bunch of other stuff recommended. Summoners. Specifically for Specters. Okay? They're going to get recommended. All right? Summoners, especially Specter-based summoners, you're going to see me recommend them. A couple other league starters that are going to be strong. Triple Herald Elementalist. It's back on the menu, people. It's Incursion League 2.0. They didn't announce it that way. That's what it is, though. Okay? Next one that's coming up. Divine Ire anything. Okay? Divine Ire is ridiculously strong. It's ridiculously good as a bossing skill. You can have it run with a couple of different setups for it to be played as a map clearer. It is a good skill, and we're getting a whole bunch of elemental boosts this league. Other big-time skills that are going to be really, really strong and reliable to league start with. Didn't see anything mentioned about it. Tectonic Slam. That's a really, really good one if you want to go with something tanky and you want to be... what you use it? You want to be like a Juggernaut. You want to have a bunch of endurance charges and deal damage based off of that. Molten Strike. Did not get nerfed, at least as of right now. That's going to be really big. Okay, so these are all decent starters that you're probably going to see me doing guides on here in the upcoming days. Also, brands. Brands haven't really been on brand. They've been kind of off brand, if you would. For the last several leagues, but they're incredibly strong. They've been used by racers in the past. They're cheap to get off the ground. They're going to be strong again this league. You're going to see people recommend it. And then there was one more that I was thinking of. Oh yeah, that's right. Anything that's fast. Okay? You're going to see a lot of stuff this league that is claiming that it's fast. You're going to see a lot of people talking about fast map clear. You're going to see stuff talking about auto bombers. You're going to see stuff talking about running with supports. I think running with supports is going to be a thing again, playing in small parties. I think that's going to be a much bigger thing this league. More and more players have become aware of that, thanks to so many different big groups, large groups of players playing. Carlos says, why Triple Herald? Because we're getting a whole bunch of elemental damage boosts, and we're getting a whole bunch of passives on the skill tree that are being added through the keynotes that are going to help heralds. And so I think whenever Triple Herald Elementalist has got a chance at being played, people go to it. It is a very, very fun build. It's got a lot of very satisfying mechanics to it, a lot of popping effects to it. So it's very, very fast on top of that as well. There's a lot of ways to play it. So I think that's a relatively good list. So one thing that you can do is you can look at that list and you can go, I wonder what builds G3 Iron is going to recommend over the next couple of days. Those are going to be some of them. I will think about more of them, but those are going to be some of the ones that I am going to recommend in the upcoming days. So thanks to everybody for sticking with us throughout the stream. It's been a relatively long stream. I have no idea, actually. The time has actually flown by for me. What is it? A couple hours that we've been chatting? So I'm very, very thankful that my voice has held up. I'm very, very thankful that all of you have been here to hang out. If you guys wouldn't mind doing so, if you've enjoyed the stream, if you found this an informative and helpful discussion on patch notes, then make sure that you like, subscribe, and ding the bell before you head on out. And of course, check on in, because in about 7.5 hours from now, we've got a video that's coming out giving you a couple of reminders about your Atlas that you need to remember. Because, hey, by the way, there is going to be, a new Atlas, at least a new Atlas for players who are coming back to PoE who haven't played in 3.9. And then if you did play in 3.9, but maybe you've taken a break, for the last month or so, then maybe there's going to be some helpful mechanics that you need to remember as you're actually interacting with the Atlas. So thanks so much to everybody that has dropped a tip. There are a couple of different ways that you can drop a tip. You can drop a tip in Super Chat when we are live. You can drop a tip on PayPal if you just want to make a one-time tip for the stream. If you want to support the channel on a more regular basis and reap some rewards on our Discord channel. You can, of course, support us and join our Patreon. All of that information is down below in the video description for your convenience. And, of course, if you are looking for any more additional information or you just joined the stream as we are wrapping up tonight, then there will be a VOD that is available to you on YouTube pretty much over the next, like usually it's 10 to 15 minutes that it takes YouTube to upload our VODs. So it's pretty quick with how easily all of our VODs are up. So thanks again, once again, everybody, for watching. And I hope, what else do I hope for? Yeah, I hope to play a whole bunch of Specters this league. I think I'm going to do that project and play just a ton of Specters. Anyway, I hope that 3.10 Delirium is the league that a Mirror of Calandra drops for you.